up on web snappers. My spider sense is tingling. 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 Tingling.
Spider sense tingling. Spider sense tells me I'm in for some trouble. Spider sense tingling.
My spider sense is picking up trouble.
My spider sense is tingling.
Something's turning my spider sense on.
My spider sense.
My spider sense is tingling.
Anybody else's spider sense tingling?
Welcome to Walloping Web Snappers, a Spider-Man podcast where we dive into every Spider-Man cartoon ever made. I'm Doug.
And I'm Derek.
And is your spider sense tingling?
Oh, villain! Smiling, cursed villain! One might smile and be a villain! Go villain! Woo!
If I'd given it a moment of thought, I feel like I probably could have figured that out, but I love that you did that so much.
Me too.
It is truly one of the best lines of this episode. I can't wait to get into it. We would like to take a quick moment to thank our spectacular patrons, Bo, Carl, Katie, Jason, Zoe, James, Keith, Cody, Toby, Hamish, Blake, Jace, Jojack, David, and Russ.
Thank you
so much. And we had some Word Snappers words last week. If you don't know what word snappers are, patrons can submit phrases for us that we have to work into an episode. And Derek, last week you worked in the phrase "out for a walk, bitch," submitted by Christian Smith. And you have the context for this. I don't.
Yeah, it's a funny fan favorite Buffy line. The context for it is it's between Buffy and Spike. Spike says it. He's literally like outside. I think he is just out for a walk. I don't remember if there's a reason, but Buffy runs into him, and it's a point in time when she just like hates him, but like begrudgingly works with him. It's like a joke that like nobody kills him even though he's evil because he's like been neutered. It's a long story. But so she's just sort of like, Spike, tell me what you're doing out here in 5 words or less. And he just says, out for a walk, counts, and it's only 4, and then just ends it with bitch.
That is good. I like it.
It's a good joke.
Good job,
it's a real
Spike.
good joke. And it's like James Marsters. I can't imitate it, but like his delivery of it is really, really funny.
And this was on Buffy?
Yeah.
I didn't realize they could say bitch on the WB.
Yeah. Bitch is fair to say. It's like,
I know on like network
TV,
there's like ways you can use it and ways you can't.
You can't say shit on network TV, and obviously you can't say fuck. And I think that sometimes there's weirdness with like ass versus asshole. Like you can say ass, but not asshole. But bitch has been fair game, I think, for a long time.
Well, I think on like, maybe this is like network to network. I feel like on some of the bigger networks, it's like how you use it. It's like if you are just talking about like, oh, I was bitch, or like they were bitching, then like, oh yeah, it's not directed at anybody. But maybe it's always just sort of been like fair game, and then they just make decisions based on production to production or something.
If you think about like radio edits, like the song "Bitch" played on the radio.
Yeah. Well, she's calling herself a bitch.
Right. But if a song has the word shit in it, it's always going to get like censored on the radio.
Yeah.
You know, it's for whatever. Don't ask me how that's determined, but bitch is like not on the same tier as other words.
This is so funny though. I know this is like a huge tangent at the beginning, but like, yeah, the song "Bitch" where she's calling herself bitch is on the radio. But "Move" by Ludacris is censored.
Oh, wait a minute. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Huh.
It might just be sort of a zone where they're deciding, you know,
I
on a
think
case-by-case basis.
Case by case. I think that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't really. It's all stupid, but like, that's probably what it is.
Anyway, hi. We're talking about the spectacular Spider-Man. And we're in the middle of a very cool arc that has lots of cool sort of framing devices, or I guess interstitials, and is establishing a lot of stuff, you know, and picking a lot of stuff up. So there's plenty to get into here.
Yes. Will be plenty of conversation about the narrative device used in this episode. The episode we are talking about is The Spectacular Spider-Man Season 2, Episode 6, entitled Growing Pains.
By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes.
Help! Let me out!
Hey, Spidey, back in black, huh? I approve. What?
Presume not that I am the thing I was, for I have turned away my former self.
What's happening to my son?
He was exposed to the alien life form on the hull of his space shuttle.
Colonel Jameson was infected by the life form?
Actually, he's infected with microscopic spores that hitched a ride on the life form. Since entering the Colonel's system, the spores have multiplied exponentially.
Dr. Connors thinks they may have originated on a high-mass, high-gravity world. Like Jupiter.
I don't care if they're from Jersey. If those sporks aren't out of my sun in 4.2 seconds,
It's just not that simple.
Hey, Shashank! You didn't come to my party.
Why would I?
Don't you know who I am?
I know who you are, Flash. We're in bio together. Look, I've never seen you throw a pass, but I've seen you set off the sprinklers in the lab. Twice.
Fine. Walk away.
Reputation, reputation, reputation. Oh, I have lost my reputation. I have lost the immortal part of myself. And what remains is bestial.
Oh, I can't believe someone is posing as me, framing me again.
Please be chameleon, please be chameleon, please.
Like looking in a mirror, bro. The funhouse kind.
Why strewest thou sugar on that bottled spider, whose deadly web ensnareth thee about? Fool! Fool! The day will come to curse this venomous bunchback toad.
You know, we should think about making this a regular thing. Yeah, half as many Ock arms, the Sinister Six divided into the manageable threes. I can get used to it.
There he is! Spider-Man made me crash. The fire's his fault!
And then what? I stopped for a quick change of clothes? It wasn't me.
I'll help you explain it to the police.
And answer a few easy questions like, what's my name? No thanks.
It'll be okay. Don't fight me on this.
Shashan win. She's like totally immune to the Flash.
'Cause she's got a brain?
Exactly. So you're gonna tell me how to make her go out with me.
Me? Why me?
Because A, somehow you got Gwen and Liz to like your scrawny butt. And 2, if you tell anyone, you'll spend the rest of junior year stuffed in that locker.
Doubt thou the stars are fire. Doubt that the sun doth move. Doubt truth to be a liar. But never doubt I love.
Such spirit, such passion. Now that's the kind of audition I like to see. Thank you, my dear.
John, you were right about Spider-Man all along, Pop. But I'll crush him. Well, see, the cops aren't 110% sure the real Spidey's the problem. For now, why don't you save some cats, kiss a couple of babies, the city will eat it up. No! Spider-Man's mine, and I'm gonna stop him permanently. Johnny, that's the sporks talking. They're confusing your brain. Colonel Jupiter is not confused!
Oh, it is excellent to have a giant's strength, but it is tyrannous to use it like a giant.
The synopsis per IMDb is Eddie, rebonded with the symbiote, frames Spider-Man for a crime spree. Meanwhile, spores from the alien symbiote infect John Jameson. J. Jonah encourages his son to become a superhero, but John comes to see Spider-Man as a menace. The original air date was February 22nd, 2009, internationally, and then in the US, it aired on July 20th, 2009. Our original coverage was on our episode 64 on October 6th, 2020, and this episode was written by Nicole Dubuque. Now, this is one of the reasons that we redo things is because Nicole Dubuque, I remember, I was looking back in our old notes, and I even remember this, like, I think I just half-assed doing the research. It's all on me. It was just probably, like, busy, didn't have a lot of time, and just, like, went to her IMDb and just listed some of the things that she'd done.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look really any further into, like, who she is, because she's, and I regret that, and I'm going to rectify that now, because she's a really fucking interesting person.
I've done it. We covered the show pretty early and figured ourselves out along the way, you know?
Yeah. We weren't doing this deep of dives and things, and weren't thinking, like, oh, you could also look on, like, Wikipedia, not just IMDb.
Right. More sources. Find an interview, maybe. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. You know. So Nicole Dubuque, she is both an actress and a writer. So she's been nominated for like 8 writing Emmys. She's won a WGA West Lifetime Achievement Award for animation. So like she's had quite a career. She got her start as a child actor in the late 80s in sitcoms like Our House, Alf, and as a main cast member on Major Dad. So like she was a legit sitcom actor at the time. But of course, like a lot of child actors, I think she was just sort of like not interested in doing that, or at least wanted to, you know, take a break and move on. So she transitioned into writing as an adult after going to college. She became an apprentice staff writer on Kim Possible. I think that was her first job, which is a great first job to have.
Yeah, truly.
And then she continued onto a lot of other shows we're familiar with, including Jackie Chan Adventures, Witch, Young Justice, etc. Stuff that has come up before, and all things where like she would have worked with the guys who worked on Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense how she's in both Greg Weisman and Victor Cook's orbit. A lot of her career has been developing showrunning and or being story editor for lots of preschool shows, which is a thing that is a common thing for writers on this show for whatever reason. Those things are like Transformers Rescue Bots, The Rocketeer, and Peter Rabbit. Most recently, though, she developed and show ran Transformers Earthspark. That's been a thing that she's done until 2024. I think that was happening after we originally covered this episode 5 years ago. She does still do some voice acting, but usually only in projects she's already working on. So she did play Iris West Allen in Young Justice, which is a you know, like was a regular supporting character. So it wasn't like a cameo or something. She's done characters in her Transformers shows that she's written on and showrun. And also, this is so fucking cool. She became the first woman to write for The Flash title in DC Comics. That happened in 2013. It took until 2013 for a woman to write for the Flash comics. Obviously not writing for the Flash in general for when he's appeared in other stuff, but for just like the comics title, The Flash, it took until 2013 for a woman writer to ever write on that. Isn't that crazy?
Wild. For like any The Flash title is so wild. Cause like I bet if you made a whole list of like all major superheroes and like when it actually happened that a woman was like allowed to write the title, we'd probably be very depressed across the board. But it still never ends up like I'm still always shocked.
Yep. It's wild.
Especially because if you really do dig, and this has come up on our show, if you really do dig, there were like really important women in the comics pretty early.
Even in like adaptations, right? Like she worked on The Flash after she'd been writing for shows like The Spectacular Spider-Man and Young Justice, you know? Like it almost took like proving, like having to prove herself, I guess, you know? It's so weird. But yeah, you're right. Like, yeah. It's, I mean, there've always been women in comics and in comic adaptations. It's just being given the opportunities for like major titles, you know?
I just had a thought. We've talked about the sort of like superhero to preschool television pipeline a lot. And it's been sort of confusing, but I wonder, do you think there is anything to the fact that a lot of superhero properties are ones that try to have some sort of like lesson or moral or some sort of like something to aspire to, which often comes with those morals and lessons where other shows might not necessarily be as committed to them, and then that just working in that sort of environment makes an easier transition into preschool television, which has to be educational?
I can see that. I mean, I don't know that that's it's like, that's not a thing I would have like ever anticipated. Like that's only dots that I feel like makes sense to connect after you've seen the evidence of it. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. But it's one of those things where sort of like, are we seeing patterns because we're like making the patterns happen?
Yeah, I don't know.
We're seeing the patterns,
I have
no idea. But
it might be a very small class
that
just we intersect with.
Yeah, but it's I think that's as good of a reason as any. Like, I don't really know what else, because you're right. Writing for a superhero show and like the sort of morals and lessons of a superhero show, like it does make more sense rather than transitioning to like Family Guy or something. You know what I mean? Like if you're looking at other areas of animation. I can see that being a direction to go into. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
The first theory I've had, so who knows?
Yeah, sure. I think it's valid. The episode was directed by Mike Gogolin. He's also interesting, but we've talked about him before because he previously directed the episode Reinforcement. So.
Here, let's talk about this amazingly interesting Nicole Dubuque person, and then also Mike Goguen. But
Yeah,
you're right.
we've talked about him. We were just talking about him before. We talked about him
No,
before.
it's just funny the way you just presented that. It was like, but we've talked about him, which is true. I mean, all the people we're about to talk about, or at least most of the people we're about to talk about in casting, we've also already talked about.
Yeah,
we're at that point, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is one person though worth highlighting here in a bigger way in the acting side of things, because we hear Shashawn Wynn speak. We get more of Shashawn finally, and she is voiced by Kelly Hu. Kelly Hu is a model and a former pageant competitor. She held a bunch of titles, including Miss Hawaii Teen USA, Miss Teen USA. She was the first Asian American winner of that. And she also held the title of Miss Hawaii USA. And she did compete in like the big one, the Miss USA 1993 pageant, and I think did very, very well. So that's like her initial background. But then she transitioned into acting. Her debut was as Malia on 3 episodes of Growing Pains.
Whoa! That's why she's cast in this episode.
Exactly,
obviously.
right? That's the connection right there. It's like, oh, you were on Growing Pains? Guess what? Here you go. And her first main cast role was as Ray Chung on the soap opera Sunset Beach. It's like a teen soap, I think. She recurred on Nash Bridges as Michelle Chan. That's probably what I would have maybe seen her on first. We watched a lot of Nash Bridges for some reason.
Okay.
She scored another main cast role on Martial Law as Detective Chen and has continued to work ever since, including roles as China White on Arrow, Admiral Ozawa on Orville, and Detective Jin on BMF Black Mafia Family. She, in film, has appeared in the Friday the 13th series in Part 8, which is Jason Takes Manhattan, which will forever be the funniest horror movie title ever.
It's pretty great. It's pretty
because
great.
the Muppets also take Manhattan, I believe.
They do. And that's also where the clip of him in the subway just like shoving somebody out of the way, and it's sort of like when gay people are, you know, when a straight person's walking in front of a gay person.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was also in The Scorpion King. I imagine that plenty of folks recognize her from that. Or perhaps X2, where she is Lady Deathstrike.
I think that's probably where I first saw her.
Which makes sense, yeah. And she's in a bunch of other stuff as well, but that stuff is probably most likely intersecting with us. She's done plenty of voice work, perhaps best known as Stacey Hirano on Phineas and Ferb, which we have talked about once. We talked about their crossover with Marvel.
A long time ago. But also she voiced Cheshire in Young Justice, Maya in Stretch Armstrong and the Flex Fighters, and Karai in the Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. Oh, yeah, that's I've watched a lot of that like recently. And
have you intersected with this character?
I didn't even. It didn't even occur to me, but it's like, yeah, that's obviously like her fucking voice. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, so she's done a lot. I don't know that I've realized it. You know, I don't know that I've necessarily realized she was across all these things, but now I know.
I love her voice.
Yeah. Oh, yes. She has a very, very good voice.
She's a very good voice. Yeah. And it's fun that she's like done like detectives and like super villains and like action heroes and all this like sci-fi stuff and like big lawyers, and she's just like playing a regular teenager.
Well,
I love it so much.
She like returns to teen soap opera by being one of the not super powered teens in a superhero show, you know?
There you go.
It's kind of perfect.
It's great. Yeah. Yeah.
As a reminder, because we talked about him last season, John Jameson is here in like a pretty significant way. He is voiced by Darren Norris, same person who voices J. Jonah Jameson. He just voices both Jamesons. And then we've referenced Sinjin Devereaux a bunch of times now. We haven't actually mentioned his voice actor. Sinjin Devereaux is voiced by Jeff Bennett, who we've talked about plenty, particularly last season, because he's the voice of Montana. Which I never would have put together just on my own, but once you kind of know it, you can sort of hear at least a little bit of it. It's interesting though, because it's a completely different, like very, very completely different performance, like totally different accents from totally different places, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like Jeff Bennett is a really good voice actor, like in general. Like we've talked about his, in the first season, we talked about his whole history, and he's done just a wide array of voices from, from like the 80s or at least 90s. I don't remember if he worked in the 80s or not, but definitely from the 90s up through now. Like, and he's done wildly different characters. I definitely, and like, you can tell it's his voice if you're really listening. Like, there's definitely some like Johnny Bravo. In
you have
voice,
to like find the places though.
You have to find it. It's this, I've never heard him do a voice like this, which is really fun. Like it's a really, really great voice that he does. Yeah. And like, he plays them like a comic character, which I think is really great. Like he's this St. John Devereaux gets like some of the funniest lines, mostly because of his delivery rather than the lines themselves.
It's great. It's kind of similar to why am I drawing a blank on their last names? Aaron and Davis? No, not Davis. Aaron and Miles.
And Aaron?
Yeah, what is their last
Warren?
name? Warren. Thank you.
Good
Lord. It's like I know. Why could I think of that? It's he has sort of a similar delivery to like when Aaron Warren is like being dry like to his students. It's not the same thing, of course, because Aaron Warren like is dry and this guy is like theatrical. But it's the same kind of humor, you know?
I think they have fun with like, you know, as invested as we are in the teen characters and like on their level and following them, you still like when you put them up against another adult, you realize like, oh, these are teenagers that are annoying to all the adults in their lives.
Right.
So you get to have the teachers like reacting to their fucking teen drama shit, just sort of like, okay, why do I care?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. When you're surrounded by teen drama all the time and you're like an adult with real problems. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
So glad he's in this a little bit more. But yeah, that's kind of who our big sort of folks worth mentioning for a little while are, because we've introduced so many characters and so many storylines. We're playing with a lot of folks we already know. So
yeah, next week will be easier, I think, because we will have.
We'll
just be able to jump right in.
Yeah, very. Yeah, they did a good job establishing a lot of people. So.
Yeah.
Let's get into this one. You referenced it that there's going to be plenty to say about the narrative device here, and that's because there's these monologues throughout the episode from auditions for Midsummer Night's Dream, right? Is what they're doing?
Yes, they are, but they're auditioning with pieces that are not from Midsummer Night's Dream, like
from all kinds of plays.
Yeah,
right?
It's all from Shakespeare, but like not a single one of these is from the actual play that they're doing.
Oh, I see that you've added where they're from to the notes. Thank you, because I took a Shakespeare class, but it doesn't stick in my brain ever.
Yeah, so. I think last time we covered this, I think we just kind of winged it a little bit, and I thought it was useful to like make sure that we knew exactly where all these were coming from if we didn't know off the cuff, because I think that sometimes like it's sort of like what you hear is just literal to like what they're doing, reflecting the episode, but sometimes like when I was actually looking into like really writing down like who is saying what and what the context is, I think that there are sometimes like interesting character reflections or jokes that are coming from this based on what character is saying what passage versus what the original character in each Shakespeare play was. Some I think are more interesting than others,
Derek,
but I think that there will be things that we find.
This is like not just citing where it came from, like you added notes to like the context of the play. Thank you so much. This benefits me especially as someone who doesn't remember where any of these are from, except the very first one.
I didn't pull all of this from my brain. I did have to like, you know, do the little bit of research because it's been many years. It's been, you know, well over 15 years since I've taken like a fucking Shakespeare class.
He's being very humble. He actually recited a whole Shakespeare play before we started recording, just off the top of his brain. So
it did make me realize that it's been a long time since I've seen a Shakespeare play, and I'm like, I kind of want to again. It's been a while.
The last time I saw any Shakespeare was like incidentally. Katie, Vicky, and I had gotten together and were hanging out, and there was just like a like park performance in like Columbus. There was just a performance in the park, and we weren't planning to go to it, so we like couldn't stick around for the whole thing. But we did like stop and watch some of it, and it was very cool. I've never been to like Shakespeare in the Park before.
It's really cool. Yeah. There's a like Richmond Shakespeare here where I am has like an outdoor theater that they perform some Shakespeare, and that's really cool. And I have not been there in a long time. Cass was in one years ago.
Whoa.
Which was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great venue, but I just never think about it.
Yeah.
I like to do that.
I like reading it. I like especially seeing it performed, because like that's kind of how you're supposed to consume it.
Yeah.
I've never performed it though. I've never, outside of like class where you like the class I took, you had to perform in groups or whatever, but I've never actually been in a production.
I performed a handful of them.
Nice.
I'm trying to think. All of them, I've never performed them outside of a school setting. It's always been for, you know, the theater department's productions of things. I don't think so. No, I've never done a theater production like professionally or in like community theater or anything. But like I did like in high school. The first one I ever did in high school was 12th Night, which is not quoted at all in this. I did Hamlet my senior year of high school, which is quoted a couple of times, and I think that's probably still my favorite Shakespeare play.
Sure.
Not that that's like a hot take or anything. Like
Look,
Hamlet.
sometimes
but,
some of them are better, you know?
But it's like, it's good. It's good, you know?
Yeah.
And then I think in college I did Julius Caesar, and then I did Othello. I think that's it. And then of course I took like actual classes where you like kind of performed it, but like doesn't really count.
Yeah.
And then I've seen a shit ton of them, but there's at least like one line in this that someone quotes that was like one of my lines in Othello, which is kind of cool.
That's fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We what was it? We talked about like the Shakespeare like outside of context. Do you have like a favorite Shakespeare in a different context that you've seen before? Because it's like a popular thing to do is to take like the movies do it all the time, right? Like 10 Things I Hate About You. It's exactly that. Yeah.
Stage wise, I can't really think of, because a lot of my favorite stage productions, it's not even like a context thing. It's more just like they don't put it in any period at all, and it's just like it will be a minimalist production. Like there's
That's cool.
in Stanton, there's is it Blackfriars? I think it's Blackfriars, that I love their productions because it's in a very traditional Elizabethan, is that the word, theater for it? I don't know. It's sort of it's like a very traditional kind of old school theater that has like very natural lighting. They don't do like actual lighting effects or anything like that. It's very natural lighting in there, and it all is just very like.
Is it an outdoor thing? Is it like
no? It's not outdoor. It's still indoor, but it's still be like literally like chandelier lighting and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah.
But it's all very like minimalist, so it's like you don't really have elaborate props and costumes, and it can just be kind of whatever, as long as it sort of evokes like and communicates through the characters, which I find more accessible for people.
Yeah.
Because like then it's sort of like, oh, like this like they're interpreting this character as like kind of like a very like he like just loves love a lot, so I dress him like a hippie or something. You know? Like, and it's not like they're putting it in a particular time. It's just like it's all kind of expressionistic, but in a way that's like feels very like relatable and ends up feeling modern in a way, you know, because it's not placed in any time. That's kind of my favorite take on Shakespeare, just letting it be minimalist, because most of my productions that I've done, because they were just like school productions anyway, would be kind of minimalist.
Yeah.
But I think honestly, again, this is kind of basic. I really like the Ethan Hawke Hamlet movie where it's like just in the modern day and he's a filmmaker and he's like, instead of doing the play, he just like makes a, like, you know, a very pretentious student film that's like hard to interpret, but like I kind of love it, like, and it's like a whole like a corporation like skyscraper kind of deal. Like I like that a lot, actually.
Nice.
I think that's probably my favorite like update that people have done. I know people really like the Romeo plus Juliet movie. I'm not a huge fan of that play, so like it doesn't really do much for me. I think at some point, you know, now that I'm so far out from like actual schooling, I think it might actually be a lot of fun to just sort of like dedicate a certain amount of time to doing a lot of Shakespeare stuff. I think it'd be fun. Yeah. Not necessarily consuming. I still don't know that I would be good at performing it ever. I don't know. I think it's if you have the right director for it and the right production of it,
sure,
it's a really fun time.
Yeah. People should watch Shakespeare stuff. It's more accessible than you think.
Yeah, and if you don't like it from reading it, see a performance, like a good performance of it, like, is that if you have trouble understanding the words, which I think is totally fair, they're like not meant to be read. When you have good performers speaking it, like you understand what people are saying, like, you know, so when they're performing it. Anyway,
speaking of good performances, I like where we start. I think one from Glory is good because Glory, it makes a lot of sense that she would take this seriously and be good at it. And so she is one of the examples of a good monologue, because not every one of these auditions is good.
Yeah. So Glory's quote is, "By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes," which comes from Macbeth act. Oh my God. I almost called it season 4. Macbeth season 4.
Season 4, episode 1.
The Macbeth prestige television series. Honestly,
I'm surprised there aren't more. I'm surprised it hasn't happened over and over.
Yeah. Macbeth Act 4, Scene 1. It's said by one of the witches in reference to Macbeth himself, but I think what makes this Like, I think what makes knowing the context for this useful is that, like, obviously when you hear the quote, something wicked this way comes, and then it cuts to Venom is the next scene, right? Like, something wicked this way comes is Venom. Cool. I think what's fun is that the actual meaning of that quote in the context of the play is the witches are saying it in reference to Macbeth himself, which is basically a monster that they indirectly created by giving him, like, the prophecies and shit like that and telling him all that stuff that drove him to commit all the acts that make the play a whole tragedy and make him a villain in the play, right? Yeah. So, like, in the case of Venom, Venom is kind of a monster that Spider-Man sort of indirectly created in ways, even though it wasn't really his fault. Technically, you know, Spider-Man, by having the black suit and by treating people the way that he treated people, did create Venom indirectly. So it's like kind of a twofold representation of who Venom is, which is really fun.
Yeah, makes sense. It's an essential part, I think, of the Spider-Man Venom story. And I think everyone should think that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like you said, Venom's the next thing we see here. He's stopping a robbery in progress, but when the police show up and mistake him for a black-suited Spider-Man, he attacks them, webs them up, and then makes off with the loot from the robber's heist. It's clear that he's trying to frame Spider-Man for some reason. I mean, not hard to guess why. He doesn't look like Venom, though, in this. He's wearing basically one of the iterations of Spider-Man's black suits, but he has a different body. I don't know if it's worth stopping down on this. Any thoughts on this particular Spider-Man design?
I think it's clever that he gives himself the web wings, which he's never had before.
It's cool.
That's a particular choice that he has.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny. I really like that. Like, he goes as far as to mimic every aspect of the suit, like, again, with the web wings. But he still is, like, too big. Like, he's never going to flee like Spider-Man. And also, I will say, it is actually, like, flawed that he's doing it this way, because Spider-Man didn't have the web wings when the spider was, like, fully like that. Like, when he was in his final stage of the black suit, he didn't have the web wings. So Venom actually kind of fucked up a little bit by adding that extra detail, which is funny.
Yeah, I like that. That's kind of funny. I do like that this show, and I wouldn't have expected anything different. I do like that this show specifically makes his body type different, and then it has that matter, you know, like, it's not just a representation for us, the audience, but it's also close enough that people in the universe can sort of mistake it because they don't interact with Spider-Man that much.
Exactly. Yeah, it's clever. It's a cool start to the episode. Credits wise, we have Liz, Flash, and J. Jonah Jameson in this one. Jameson obviously makes a lot of sense because it's centered on his son and Jameson. Flash makes a lot of sense because this is a big part of his initial, you know, character arc with Shashan and everything. Liz, I don't know. I mean, I think they could have put Liz or Gwen in this because I think they kind of have an equal amount of stuff to do, which is not much. And both of them have, like, little bits, like Gwen gets together with Harry in this one and Liz gets into the play. I guess that's kind of why they put Liz in. I feel like it's more like they couldn't decide between the other. Gwen has gotten a bunch of slots, so might as well put Liz here. I think that's probably the only reason, you know? Yeah,
and I can't think of anybody else that would make sense to put here that you would put in credits. So
I think it's fair. And I think that they try to always, I might be mistaken on this. I think they only ever either have Liz or Gwen as, like, the first build afher Peter throughout the season.
Oh, they never show up in the same credits. Ooh.
No, they show up they show up in the same credits. I'm saying that there's never any other character that gets the first billing other than Gwen or Liz.
I see. I don't through think the whole first season it was Gwen, and then I see. Yeah.
Yeah, there's never a time when it's not either Gwen or Liz. I don't think. I might be wrong. It'll be fun revisiting this.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that it's always either Liz or Gwen that's first.
Yeah.
So I think that probably is also part of the calculation. They just kind of committed to that being the slot for either Gwen or Liz.
If we don't figure it out by the end, I am planning to do a credits gallery. So
yes. Oh, I love that. And it would be fun to compare how many people get more than others and everything.
So I'll make sure to take notes on that when I do it.
I think it's fun too, because when Liz gets first billing, because there's, like, usually a beat between I think the last little shot and then the next person. Like with Gwen, there's, like, a flash of something else. I think you see, like, a full body shot of her or something before you get to her close up. Liz, they do the same thing. So in that little extra space, there's just, like, a little bit of her cheerleading, like, for a second before they actually cut to her headshot, which is just fun.
Yeah, I like it. It's so fun that they make these credits the way that they are, because it evokes the sort of credits where somebody, like, has to, like, occupy a half a second of time just, like, standing there.
Yeah,
they're fun. Like, Flash is like, it's not just a still image. He's, like, he does like a smile or something and like
and
turns
they
his
have a
head
particular
slightly. Yeah.
background for each of them. You
Yeah.
know, like I think he gets a football field, right?
Yep.
So yeah. No, it's fun. It's very like Smallville from like the first 4 seasons where they would like put their faces on a setting that was like relevant to them.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I never
like
thought about
it.
that actually.
I like those kind of credits.
I do too. We're severely lacking in them these days.
Severely lacking in credits at all.
Yeah. So the next bit after credits, we come back with Harry's monologue where he says, "Presume not that I am the thing I was, for I have turned away my former self," which he says so sinisterly. Like Harry Osborn can't even give a Shakespearean audition without saying it in the most sinister way possible.
So, okay, now I haven't seen any of the Henry's plays or read them, I don't think. So is he delivering it in a way that like wouldn't make sense?
I think it would, I don't think it totally makes sense. I think it depends on your interpretation of it.
Gotcha.
Because basically, yeah, it's from Henry IV, Act 5, Scene 5. The full they actually trimmed down this one. The full passage of it is "Presume not that I am the thing I was, for God doth know, so shall the world perceive that I have turned away my former self." I think that they cut out because they maybe say the word God in there. Because there's another one later that they trim.
Yeah.
And it's like for very obvious reasons. And in the context for it, it's Harry who says this, who is like kind of one of the main characters of that play. He's just been crowned as King Henry V at the end of it. It's a culminating moment where he basically rejects his former friend Falstaff, and basically through that kind of rejects his past life, which is like, I'm not going to be among the lowlifes or anything. I'm fully the king now, and I believe in law and order, right? And I think there's multiple ways you can sort of interpret that. Like if you are on the side of like, yeah, I think that like the people that he hung out with, the people like Falstaff, are just like a bunch of like drunken losers who cause trouble. So yeah, it's good that he's the king, but also it's hard not to like read into that and just being like, feels like you just said like fuck it to like all the poor people and are like, I'm the king now, fuck you bitches, you know?
Right.
And I think for Harry it kind of works because it's like it almost feels like of course he would interpret it in a sinister way.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I'm better than all of you, and here's where I become the king and the ruler, and everyone actually looks at me how I deserve to be looked at, you know? Like that's always the weird, like the inferiority complex that Harry has, the way it manifests as sort of like trying to impress everyone, but the worst version of that is like because he thinks he's better than everyone.
But it is kind of perfect that this is a quote you can sort of interpret two ways, because Harry has the same experience just in his regular life with the popular kids that doesn't end up necessarily being sinister. Like, and you could look at it as one of his friends and be like, oh my God, you're hanging out with like the bullies now. But like to him, it is just an escalation of his like social status, you know? So I like that. Because it could mean things in both his civilian life or his, as we're interpreting it at this point in the show, his super villain life.
Yeah, that's one of those cases where I think like the context is really useful for the person who's saying it. And then also just like in the literal sense, like I'm not the thing that I was, I've turned away from my former self, reflects on John Jameson's story in this episode. Where he has a massive change and then eventually kind of just turns away from who he was completely. And of course, the very next scene is the introduction of the John Jameson story.
Yeah. Gosh, this is so wild. Like, like this has to have Greg Weisman all over it. It's kind of wild that it just isn't like written by Greg Weisman. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He probably he probably did write all the monologue parts. It's sort of like, here's the ones.
Right.
Like, this is my job, is to pick out the fucking Shakespeare quotes.
Which makes sense. That still makes sense. Well, okay, so with John Jameson, we're at the Connors lab and we hear John Jameson saying, "It's happening again." And then he begins to swell in size and then ends up crashing through one of the lab's walls when he gets so big. And when whatever this attack is subsides, John returns and Kurt gives him a package that he says will help. As John steps away into Kurt's office, Jonah asks what is going on, and then we get the explanation from Kurt. So it's nice. I mean, they're introducing something that has had almost no introduction, but all the pieces are right there to just like give you the exposition. What we do know is John Jameson was in space, right? And that's like the one building block we have. Kurt explains he was exposed to the alien life form on the hull of his space shuttle, which we saw it there. He's infected with microscopic spores that hitched a ride on the life form the way gum sticks to a shoe. We've been tracking his condition for months. Since entering the Colonel's system, the spores have multiplied exponentially. And there's a few things that I really like here. One is that Peter, of course, is like, oh my God, like he's infected by the life form, or he made contact with the symbiote and then he catches himself life form. Because he's worried, obviously, that there's like a second person who could be Venom out there.
Another Venom, yeah.
Right. But Kurt clarifies, like, no. It's a whole separate thing. It's the spores. And then I love that J. Jonah Jameson, at this point and throughout the episode, continues to refer to the spores as sporks.
It's so funny. And no one ever corrects him. They just let him believe that.
Which is great. I like that a lot.
It's just such a weird sight to see J. Jonah Jameson in the ESU lab, isn't it? Like, isn't it weird?
It is.
Just feels wrong.
It's like, I guess it's weird. There's so many stories in where this could have happened and you wouldn't really question it unless you thought about it too much, because it is kind of weird in most circumstances. The explanation exists, so I'll say it, but like, it is kind of weird that John Jameson would go to Kurt Connors for this particular problem. You could just do it in any show. If the 90s show just had John Jameson going to Kurt Connors for some sort of weird problem, we wouldn't really question it.
Because Kurt Connors was like the only scientist that anyone ever went to in that show.
Right. So it's not a thing you would necessarily question, but it's cool what the show does, because this show, the Connors were the ones who were already studying the life forms from space.
Right.
And
So
they
it
made a
makes
big
sense.
deal about how they secured that contract. So there is nothing to really question here, even when you do look at it and you're like, it's so bizarre that J. Jonah Jameson is in this lab.
It's really elegant how all of these things, I mean, because you basically have the Venom symbiote stuff and this John Jameson story and everything happening with the Connors lab and Miles Warren's takeover of it.
Mm-hmm.
All of that just with this, in this one scene, you're suddenly like, okay, every single story that's kind of been happening over the last 2 seasons is like now combined here now, like just right here. Here he is. I love how efficient it is.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that it's elegant and clearly planned for is like technically unnecessary, but so appreciated, because any superhero show that's going to take place in New York has to center around, a very small chunk of people, when that probably isn't what would happen in the city of New York. But they still manage to make it make sense when you wouldn't necessarily need it to. It's elegant and efficient is like perfect description.
Yeah. Yeah. I do like Miles having the bit where just sort of like, oh, no wonder this lab goes through funding so fast.
Truly.
As he sees Jameson or John just like destroying it, which is like, it's like a funny joke at the beginning, but then it's like very dark as this arc continues.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gwen also adds that Kurt theorizes that those sporks originated somewhere with a high mass and high density, such as Jupiter, which kind of gets us the word Jupiter, so then we can eventually justify John calling himself Colonel Jupiter, just like in the comic books.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Colonel Jupiter, everyone's favorite antagonist that John Jameson turns into, right?
Do you think that they would have eventually done Man-Wolf somehow? I think that there's a way you can get there from this if he's seeking power.
If he's seeking power, or the place that this ends, that's probably the most likely solution, because he wants the power back, right? So any power he can get, and both of his powers come from space. So
they do. They could either have him seeking some other thing that falls from space, and that's how you justify him getting another space-based power, or
he's also just connected to that world.
He is, but also you could rewrite it and just have him go to Miles Warren, just like Kraven did.
True.
And it's sort of like, here's some wolf DNA.
Yeah.
Like, if they want to continue, because if that becomes Miles Warren's thing, is that he's constantly genetically engineering people to become animal people.
Yeah.
Like, why would he do it
that's so
again?
true. I didn't even, I just accepted it because Miles Warren's fucked up. But yeah, the animal people thing makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Miles Warren, high evolutionary in Spectacular Spider-Man's universe.
Look, if they could combine Shocker and Montana, they can combine Miles Warren and the High Evolutionary.
Why not? It's not typically a Spider-Man thing anyway, so they could do whatever they wanted in this universe.
Exactly. I'm sure that's what everyone was clamoring for watching this too. Like, I really hope Miles
just
Warren
like
becomes
Colonel Jupiter,
the High Evolutionary. Yeah, exactly.
It is fun to think about, like, if this show continued to like rate as well as it did, and gained momentum as it went on, like what stories they might have told that would have become sort of like accepted or like more normal stories to expect,
Right.
Like, would Colonel Jupiter have been a bigger deal? Probably not, because it's not like a huge story. But John Jameson's not out of the show after this, so.
Right.
Or seemingly wouldn't have been, I should say.
Yeah. Though I kind of feel like the Colonel Jupiter thing, I think it needs to only be this episode. I don't know that they could redo
I don't think
Colonel
they would
Jupiter.
need. Yeah, I don't think they should. But maybe just the John Jameson of it all in general.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Well, Kurt explains that he's tried a number of solutions to no avail. All the solutions he lists are things that he's like used before on other things, which I think is fun. It's like gene cleanser, extreme heat, extreme cold, and a little tiny bit of electricity. Like that's kind of successful, but has only worked on one spore at a time. So, you know, all things that he has used in previous episodes for previous experiments. I love that he's not come up with any new ideas here.
Stick with what works. And one of them does, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
They're just being careful about electricity for good reason, I would say.
Yeah. For the first time that Kurt Connors has ever been mildly responsible in his science experimentation, and it actually ends up being incorrect because he should have actually used more electricity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, John returns wearing this Jupiter suit, which is meant to kind of regulate his biological functions, and also has like a heart monitor there that you will hear anytime he appears, which would have to just drive John crazy. That's what's so wild about having it there. Like, the whole point is for him to regulate his emotions and stay calm and keep his, like, effectively his blood pressure low and his heart rate low. And having a heart monitor constantly beeping at you would do the exact opposite. At least it would to me.
Oh, sure. It's like, it is great for this episode,
of
for the
course,
tension of this episode. They utilize that sound so well and as a way to sort of track his mental state.
Right.
But like realistically in the world of it, it's like, Connors, what the fuck, man? And nobody complains about it at all. Like John's so chill about this.
That seems like a great idea.
Yeah, right. It's very silly. But they do like make it a point also to warn to warn John that like the spores are chemically changing your body. They might also chemically change your mind. So like maybe keep track and make sure that you're, you know, not becoming a mad supervillain, because that could happen.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen before.
But otherwise, you know, go on and live your life. Who cares?
Yeah, it is, but wild to me that it's sort of like, okay, go home, John. I'm like, I don't know, man.
But if there was a doctor who would do it, it is a doctor who has turned into a murderous lizard in the past and has gone back to his life and believes deeply in giving people second chances as a result.
And I imagine that like Jameson probably wouldn't have let John be kept anywhere.
Yeah.
And John probably wouldn't want to stay there either. So like, I think it all makes sense. It is just wild how like no one even considers the fact that maybe like just continue to live your life right now in this moment, maybe is at least like wait a day and have some observation first.
Yeah. I guess if I'm trying to give Kurt Connors credit, he has said that he's been working on it for months. And he does leave with this suit. So I guess it's kind of like the equivalent of like, well, we haven't fixed your ankle yet, but here's a brace you can use to walk on it.
That is actually a really good point, because I do think it's almost kind of undersold. Like, what they make clear in this episode, and it's very efficient writing, is that it's just like this shit they've been dealing with it off screen forever. It's just, you haven't seen John this season, so you haven't known this is going on. But like, this is the thing they know is going on. It's just like this episode, we sort of see it manifest in the worst way, where you see this growth spurt, and then you see the solution that they've already been researching. That is a good point. This isn't like the first day that it's come up. Yeah.
Damn, show's good. Whoops.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, we go to Midtown, and Flash approaches Shashan and asks why she didn't come to his party, because, hello, didn't you know you were my date? And she says, why would I go to your party? Like I don't understand.
It's such a good response.
Yeah.
She doesn't care.
Yeah, why didn't you come to my party? Why would I? Like, it's so good. And
Flash's
it's so believable.
Yeah, right. And Flash's response is so fucking condescending.
Yeah.
Because he like thinks about it for a second. It's like, oh, you didn't understand. And it's like, oh no, like that's obviously not going to win her over, that he's like talking to her like she's a fucking child.
Yeah, he like doesn't understand. And this is like a very real thing. I feel like a lot of people learn as teenagers or going into college. Sure, maybe earlier, but like this idea that like the rules that his sort of world operate by are not rules everybody else operates by. Not everyone in the high school operates according to the popular kids' rules. And when you start to realize, like in high school or college or whatever, that like the hierarchy isn't really a hierarchy, it's actually just kind of like the tables at the cafeteria, like it's kind of changes your perspective a lot. And that's like what Flash is going through, where he's like, I don't understand why you don't understand. Like there's a way about this where if I invite you as my date, you obviously are grateful and you come along. That's what every other girl in my social circle would have done. It's great. He even goes as far as to be like, don't you know who I am? Which is, of course, like one of the most asshole things to say.
Right.
I love Shashan's response to it, though. Like, her response to him is also incredible because she's like, yeah, no, I know who you are. That's not the question. I know who you are. That's why I didn't go with you. She says, like, I don't care that you're the quarterback. I don't care that you're a star. I think he says at some point, like, didn't you see I like sacrificed my body for a winning catch or whatever? And she says, I've never seen you throw a pass, but I have seen you set off the sprinklers in the biology lab twice. And that's like her basically being like, cool, you're good at sports, but you're dumb as fuck.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's like Flash has never met someone who has never seen him only in environments that aren't the football field. Like,
right. So like
when you take away and I think that that's so. I think that's like really important to what his arc ends up being because it sort of recognizes that it's sort of like, oh, if I don't have football, who the fuck even am I? Like without football, I'm just like an idiot that nobody likes.
Yeah.
And like I think that really changes him
because he's chosen to enter a different set of rules where like being the star football player is not the thing that makes you cool. And so if he doesn't have that, and he can't fall back on it either. Like he can't just stop pursuing Shashan and be like, but I'm still the star quarterback. Like that's the big thing. I mean that would force him to think about it in a way that he might not have had to think about it otherwise.
And this whole episode, I think the whole season, I think makes him confront those things like over and over again.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't get it right away though, because he then screams that he can date any girl he wants in this crummy school.
Cool. He's still got lots of learning to do.
You don't learn it right away. You know,
it'll take a little while. Yeah. Well, after that, we get a monologue from Kenny. His monologue is reputation. Oh, I have lost my reputation. I have lost the immortal part of myself, and what remains is bestial.
Now I know we see Kenny get a part in the play. What do you think of Kenny's performance?
Oh, I think it's fun. I mean, I think what's fun about it, all of their performances are kind of like, I mean, it's like out of context. So they're just sort of like saying them in dramatic ways, you know?
They're professional actors pretending to be high school actors, which is important to keep in mind.
That's what I get from Kenny is that like, I think what you're supposed to get from Kenny is that sort of like, oh, he is better than I would have expected him to be. He's still a high schooler reciting a monologue that he probably doesn't really know the context of at all. On stage for an audition. Like it's not going to be great. But it's like better than you would expect.
Yeah.
And I think what's more important is that he obviously like, he's not treating it like a joke. He is taking it seriously.
Yeah. Kenny is a senior or is Kenny a junior? Are they juniors?
Oh, actually, I'm not sure if he's in the same grade as them. Because do we ever see them? Do we see?
I assume he's
Rand
in the same grade as Flash, but I just assumed that. I have no reason to think that.
Yeah. Do we ever see him and Rand in the same classes as Flash and Peter? We might, because I feel like we see them.
We specifically see them not in the same classes. Actually,
I think Rand and Kenny could be seniors.
Okay,
actually,
because my question was going to be like, is that like in Kenny's future? And maybe the answer is he's a senior, so he doesn't have the time to do this unless he does it in college. But like, does Kenny transition into, or does he like add theater kid to his like personality? Because he shows up with like his little scarf and everything, you know?
I would love that. I mean, but also I remember like in high school, I remember there being like football players, who would then like try out for a show and just like randomly be really good.
Yes,
like, just really
because
they'd
never tried it before and didn't realize, you know?
And they might never continue it ever, but it's sort of like, just know that you do have talent in the arts. Like, you could pursue it if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's Kenny's story. He might not ever do a play ever again, but he will do good in the one play that he does.
Or maybe after, Kenny grows up, he goes to college, he plays football. He doesn't make it pro, but then realizes like there were these other things, and one of those things was theater. And I really liked that when I was in high school. And then Kenny starts doing community theater. That would be beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love that too. I think that'd be really cool. Yeah. The monologue that he has, it comes from Othello, Act 2, Scene 3. This is a line that I had in college because I played Cassio, and this is Cassio who says it. Basically, obviously, there's a lot of stuff that happens in Othello, but with Cassio, one of the things that happens with him is that he's kind of manipulated. Like, villain doesn't like him, and then basically kind of like fucks up Cassio's whole life, essentially. And it's Iago fucks up a lot of people's lives. That's kind of his whole deal. It's just like a little chaotic mastermind. But with Cassio, like, he gets manipulated into like getting drunk and getting into a fight, and then like strips him of his role as a lieutenant, essentially. And so he's just like reeling over his reputation having been ruined. And it's like, what else is there? Which I think, honestly, like, coming after the Flash scene is basically what's happening with Flash in a way. It's not a reputation thing necessarily with Flash, but Flash has like lost the one part of himself that was important, which is football, and is now realizing that like outside of football, he doesn't really have much.
Mm-hmm.
And so like what remains now, like I think that's a lot of what, what this monologue is referring to in this case.
Yeah. I think there's also, it doesn't directly follow this, but we see it later in the episode. There's also, I think, the element of like Venom is manipulating John Jameson into basically fucking up his whole life for the Venom's means.
Yeah. And ruining Spider-Man's reputation by pretending to be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So, I think it works in many, many areas.
It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So outside the Connors lab, John, Jonah, and Peter catch a cab that John is like weighing down because he's a giant man at this point.
It's so embarrassing.
I don't know why they do this, but they're learning, And John, of course, is like bummed at what he thinks is any possibility of living a normal life again. And Peter kind of gets this because he sees John as having inherited sort of like superpowers or had some sort of transformation, attempts to offer some consolation and purpose, and starts to give him basically a maybe with great powers comes great responsibility sort of moment. But Jonah interrupts him with a phone call, so that's not getting delivered.
Yeah,
and
it's like Jonah kind of stops any potential. Like, I mean, like I think what I like about this episode is like Jonah is very much at fault to some degree because he stops any good advice for how John can treat a situation, and then pushes John into like situations where he is going to, start. Crazy,
which
basically,
I mean, it makes sense based on just who Jonah is and the fact that John is his son. But also, we haven't seen yet in this show the Jonah that is the guy who created the Scorpion. You know what I mean? So like, it also kind of fits that type of Jonah story where he inadvertently creates kind of an antagonist to Spider-Man.
Oh God, yeah, I bet the Scorpion episode we would have gotten in season 3 would have been something like, it probably would have almost been kind of a sequel episode to this one where he kind of tries to recreate a Colonel Jupiter that he has more control over, and then it ends up going even worse,
Gosh, that'd be so good.
Yeah.
It'd be so good. But what Jonah interrupts Peter with is a phone call where he gleefully relays the message that Spider-Man is back in black and on a crime spree. The best news J. Jonah Jameson could ever receive.
Yeah. Big sad John in that taxi cab is really cute and sad.
It's very sad.
The look of it is very upsetting.
He doesn't realize he can, what is the Hulk thing?
Leap tall buildings in a single bound.
There you go, yeah.
That's a Superman thing.
Superman thing.
Hulk thing.
What is the Hulk? Isn't there a phrase with Hulk too? Or maybe I'm just mixing the two up.
I don't know.
That's probably the phrase I was thinking of.
Hulk smash, Hulk jump. I don't know.
At least he does the same thing. But I'm probably thinking of the Superman quote. You're right. So, okay, Jonah tells John that he's going to stop Spider-Man. He's like, you're going to do it. And gives him a superhero name, Colonel Jupiter. So John is like, you don't like superheroes. Why would you want me to be a superhero? And Jonah fights back against this, being like, no, I don't like masked superheroes, which he's clearly making up in the moment.
Yeah, right.
And says, like, what do they have to hide? And this will be something, later in the show, but this is the first time we kind of get that clarification. And then claims, it doesn't matter anyway, because everyone's going to love you, John. Like, not everyone loves Spider-Man, but everyone's going to love you because you're already a hero. You're already a beloved astronaut. Which, I mean, you can see all the ways that Jameson sort of twists this into making sense for himself.
Yep. He'll regret it later.
Yeah, and he's on such a roll that, like, Peter tries to interject and say, like, yeah, but what if Spider-Man's innocent, actually, and not doing these things? And, like, Jonah's not going to hear it. He's on a roll.
Of course. We get a scene after that where Spider-Man's kind of patrolling the city, like hoping to find the guy who's framing him. I really like that this episode repeatedly references the Chameleon episode from the first season, because in a way it is like obviously a kind of a redux of that one, right? That episode even had a black suited Spider-Man. It's just like reversed in this one. Like the black suit is the bad guy in this one. Like I think that's really clever, but I think it's smart to them to just acknowledge and sort of use that information in their discussions of all of this. Of there already having been someone out there who tried to frame Spider-Man by pretending to be Spider-Man. But he also is sort of like, but I hope it's Chameleon because otherwise it's fucking Venom, and I don't want that to be the case.
Yeah, just good. I like that.
Yeah. We got a fun bit where he, sees an armored truck spin out of control and crashes, and he checks on the driver, and the driver's like, "Not you again!" And he's like, "Oh fuck, this was Venom, wasn't it?" And then Venom just pulls him on to a nearby roof.
We get a monologue from Shashan, and this is one of the ones that was changed pretty significantly, and it makes sense. But what she says is, "Why strewest thou sugar on that bottled spider, whose deadly web ensnareth thee about? Fool, fool, the day will come to curse this venomous bunch-backed toad."
Yeah. So the full version is basically after fool, fool. It then goes to thou wettest a knife to kill thyself, and then continues. Obviously, they don't want to have someone in a Spider-Man show say kill thyself, so they cut that part out. But it comes from Richard III, Act 1, Scene 3. It's basically... it's meant to be very mean and nasty because it's Queen Margaret who is very, very pissed off. It's a whole scene just basically just full of arguments and people just like shouting at each other and shouting curses at each other and shit like that. But her big one is basically telling the other people in the scene to not trust Richard. Don't even be nice to him because inevitably he's going to stab you in the back and betray the fuck out of you. Right? Like, don't pour sugar on a spider. That web's gonna come back and fucking kill you anyway. Like that, you're gonna get fucking venomed regardless. And I think that's part of the reason that I think they also pulled the quote, because it has the word spider and it has the word venomous in that, but also has the double meaning of like, I guess it's like,
who's the spider like, and who is strewesting thou sugar?
Right. I don't know. I think this one maybe is a little bit more layered because I think it's like, it is because a big part of this is sort of like, who do you trust in this, right? I think it could apply to John, his thinking of like, don't actually trust Spider-Man as much as you want to because he's inevitably going to betray you, which is how he views things by the end of the episode, right?
Right. Which I like better than the other way around, because it would be... It kind of stinks if this is and I don't think it is, but it would stink if this was supposed to be like, hey, Spider-Man, don't trust John because he'll betray you, because that's not really what happens.
It's not, but also he can't, but also he does have to realize that he has to just like, he can't. He does have to realize that like John's going to be too far gone and he's going to have to like not play nice in order to beat him ultimately, which I think is I think there's it's a really interesting bit of ambiguity by the end of this episode. Cause like Spider-Man has to defeat John very violently,
Right. And there is the Venom thing. Last week, you had brought up the possibility that Peter doesn't really realize that Eddie on his own is kind of a terrible, hateful person. And I was like, I don't know if that's true, because I think he comes back before he sees him as Venom, and I had those things turned around. I thought what happens next week happened in this episode.
Right.
So I think that's part of it too, right? Like he sees Venom first and then realizes Eddie is back. And so there is no moment where he sees Eddie without being possessed by Venom. And so he still, by the end of this arc, thinks that like, well, if I appeal to Eddie, if I strewest thou sugar on Eddie, then we can still fix Eddie, or we can still get through to Eddie, but that's not the case.
Right. I love that. I think that works on multiple levels, like most of these do.
Yeah, it's cool.
Also, it says spider and venomous. I really do think that they probably that was the thought first, and then it kind of worked backwards into where we're getting into.
I think you're right, because I do think like we can find ways that this makes sense, but I don't know that it's the strongest one or the most clear relation to what's going on.
There's a couple of places in this where it's sort of like you pulled it because it sounds good. I don't know how much there's really like a deep meaning to it.
You know what?
The majority of them, I think you could pull some really interesting stuff from though.
Yeah. Here's yours.
Yep. So we come back from commercial, opening with Sally's audition. It's very funny that why is Sally even auditioning?
Well,
like, why is she here? We know by flashes
and Glory auditions, right?
Oh, so she's just doing it because her friends.
I think she's doing it because her friends are doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, and doesn't act, and like clearly she doesn't really like actually care very much. She's just like does a cheer, like we read it. Oh, villain, smiling, cursed villain. One might smile and be a villain. She ends it with go villain. Obviously, that's not. Obviously, that part wasn't part of the original Shakespeare quote. Believe it or not.
You don't remember that from Hamlet?
Right. It's from Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 5. It is said by Hamlet in reference to his uncle Claudius, the villain of the play, who I played in high school, funny enough. He says it after learning that Claudius murdered Hamlet's father, who was also Claudius's own brother. So it's like, this motherfucker, and then of course like married his sister-in-law, aka Hamlet's mom. So it's like, this motherfucker killed my dad and his own brother, and then it's sort of like, now I'm gonna marry your fucking wife, and it's just like having a great time. Like, fuck that. Like, he's still a villain, doesn't matter. So, I don't really know what to say about this other than that Venom is a villain and he smiles.
Yeah, no, I think that's all it is, right? And I do think it plays on the fact that Venom seems to be having a great time tormenting Peter, and that Venom is Eddie, Peter's friend, who, like we said at this point, does not realize Eddie's too far gone. So
yeah.
I think that is literally all this one is, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there is the John Jameson sort of being like, I don't think it applies to John. I don't think it.
No, I think this is purely.
Yeah.
I think this is purely they wanted something funny for Sally to say,
and it works enough for.
It works enough. Yeah, I think that's all it is, and I'm fine with that because it's very funny.
Yeah, and it is the next thing you get.
Yeah. They animate the shit out of those pom poms. It's like so good.
It's so funny the things that
she does an entire. She doesn't just shout it. Like she does like an entire. Like she gets a bunch of leaps in.
Yeah.
She does like an entire like cheerleading thing for it. It's really great.
It's so funny to me the things that they give like sort of believable physics to. It's like the thing we often see with like Gwen's hair for some reason often has like way more frames than you would expect.
So funny.
The Craven episode, which I just recently rewatched, like there's a moment with like photographs on the ground that for some reason have so many frames. Like I don't know why. Like it's just interesting to me the things they choose to give physics to. Pom-poms?
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, so funny. So funny.
Well, on the rooftop, Venom tosses Spider-Man into some sort of electrical box that falls off of the roof and onto a puddle of that armored truck's gasoline below, which causes a big fire that ends up spreading to a nearby building. So there's a big building on fire, is the moral of that story. A block away, Colonel Jupiter sees this and is like, ooh, should I help? And then does help. Because he has that moment of like, I should probably be laying low, but with great power, right? So he does his big leaping bound into action.
He's so happy and cheerful, and he's just like an old fashioned like I think it's really actually like an important character trait that he does specifically like reference leaping small buildings in a single bound, and then has a whole Colonel Jupiter away. Like he wants to be a very pure like superhero.
Yeah.
Like he wants to be a Superman or a Captain America kind of guy. And I think that like the tragedy of it is that like he totally could be if he didn't have sporks destroying his brain right now.
Right. I know. It's so simply elegant, right? The thing that's giving him powers is also the thing that prevents him from being a superhero.
Right.
So on that rooftop, as Spider-Man and Venom fight, Spider-Man asks if Venom is trying to frame him or destroy him. And Venom basically is like, oh, I want to destroy you in every element of your life. I want to destroy everything that you care about. I want to make your life as hard as possible. So that's actually what I'm up to. And then Venom continues to kick Spider-Man's butt. He tries to prevent him from helping those folks in the burning building. He talks a little bit more shit. Then he looks away from Spider-Man and leaps away. From the direction that Venom was looking, Colonel Jupiter lands on a rooftop and introduces himself to Spider-Man. So Venom is is dipping away before Colonel Jupiter gets there.
Of course.
Which will make sense later.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't want to interact with him too soon.
Yeah. Yup. So we got a whole sequence of the two of them saving people from the burning building.
Love Spider-Man in a burning building.
It's always good. Yeah, they got a lot of good stuff out of it. I think the most important part, of course, is that Spider-Man saves a parrot with a web parachute.
Yeah.
So that's totally the most important one.
I do love the bit of the parrot shouting "Get lost" and Spider-Man not realizing it's a parrot yet and being like, "Sorry, sir, we can't do that. I gotta save you."
It's really funny. Yeah. But it's a good sequence, you know, and it's an easy thing to have, like Spidey having his one team up with Colonel Jupiter be to do like an objectively good thing.
Yeah.
You know.
It's funny that like a New York building on fire is like such a simple, clean tactic for like establishing plot points and relationships and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a high tension situation where you can establish a lot.
It is, but it's also sort of like there's no ambiguity here. It's like there's a fire, people will die, rescue them from the fire, and you just get to see them using their cool superpowers to rescue people from the fire.
Yeah,
like
totally.
It's so straightforward. I think it's a really smart move, and then it makes it like a good contrast for the scene after it when it's sort of like when they're in the middle of a very clear like situation where people need to be saved, they're on the same level, but Jameson has a different approach to like what he thinks is like being law abiding and things like that than Spider-Man does. And that's where they end up clashing. Because they're talking on the street below and Spider-Man's sort of like, hell yeah, I've always wanted a partner. This is great. We should totally like team up more often and everything. Like I love how enthusiastic he is. He genuinely likes John Jameson, I think is part of it.
Sure.
But then of course the armored truck driver shows up and is sort of like, Spider-Man did it. And Spider-Man's like, I'm literally not in a black suit right now. Like obviously it wasn't me. But like, I think Colonel Jupiter, John being like a very straight-laced, law-abiding kind of guy, just sort of like, oh, we'll just explain it to the police, right? And Spider-Man's like, no, that's not happening.
Right, that's the thing is like John's willing to back him up. John's ready to go to bat for Spider-Man, despite his dad being J. Jonah Jameson,
right?
But isn't thinking of the additional layer. Neither one of them is really thinking of the additional layer of the fact that one of them is masked and one of them is not, you know?
Yeah, right. And that's, you know, just the simple fact that it's like John doesn't understand that like maybe the police can be corrupt sometimes, or maybe the police are not going to treat him. You know, I mean, it's a common thing that you get in these types of conversations, like about law enforcement and the justice system all the time, where it's sort of like, well, like I'm a law-abiding citizen, nothing bad has ever happened to me. As long as you're a law-abiding citizen, nothing bad will ever happen to you, right? And it's like you don't really understand the sort of, you know, industrial biases that exist, or not industrial, institutional biases that exist, you know? So it's just like a naive thing. Like it's understandable where he's coming from. I don't think that he's like in the wrong necessarily. It's just that he doesn't fully grasp the nuances of why Spider-Man wouldn't want to fucking just stay and talk to the cops right now.
Right. John Jameson is the kind of person who could learn and who could be like, who could add tools to his toolbox of being like a good person, but is currently at the place where it's sort of like, well, if you're just good, everything's fine. You know, like if you just don't break rules, it's fine.
Yeah. And I mean, and I think it's well played too, because like he does start to get like, I think it's well played because he does start to get like agitated. He hasn't like gone off the deep end, but he's like a little bit, he's like sort of like, okay, it's okay, don't fight me on this, you know? And then Spider-Man being like the little stinker that he often is, like the way that he, you know, dips out is like by maneuvering around him and just like kicking him to the ground, right? So it's like, that's of course gonna fucking piss him off. He just got like kicked to the ground really hard, you know, and like humiliated.
I was
in front
gonna
of a
say
bunch
Spider-Man
of people.
can't help but humiliate people.
right. It's sort of like, you know, that's Spider-Man's role in this, you know, in causing, I think, John to go off the deep end is sort of like, you could have been a little more gentle. Like, I wish that he could have learned from his Electro situation to like be a little more gentle with these guys that you know are like kind of teetering on the edge already. Like he knows for a fact that there is a possibility that the spores could be affecting his brain.
He
so,
was
like,
there for the whole explanation, you know?
Yeah, right. It's really reckless.
Yeah. I mean, it's good too, because it then gives, you know, John Jameson sort of a reason to not believe later situations where Spider-Man is or is not around.
Yeah. And it's great too, because all this is happening outside in public, which means that Venom can just be perched on a building observing and being like, interesting.
I know what to do with this.
I love that he's just sitting there with his full ass tongue out, just like it's like joyously swaying in the wind.
Yeah.
Like he's having such a great time.
It's nice too because this show's Venom is not an especially tonguey Venom.
He's
like,
not.
Most of the time does not have his tongue out or anything. But the show recognizes that like that's still a thing people like and it's a fun thing about Venom, so they do find opportunities to do it.
He's kind of like, it's kind of like trying to treat it like a dog does sometimes. His tongue's just fucking out sometimes. He's not like using it. He doesn't usually use it to lick people, but like it's just out when he's having fun.
Yeah.
I also just like, I wouldn't mind more episodes like this. Like it wouldn't happen again, but like if the season were longer, more episodes of Venom just like popping in and just like finding some fun way to wreck Spider-Man's life a little bit and then dipping out and letting the letting the consequences unfold.
I mean, these are relatively short seasons, like comparable to other cartoons. Like they very easily could have a whole season where like that's kind of a running thing in the background before it comes to a head, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Especially if you started off where Spider-Man doesn't realize it's Venom, you know?
Right. It's a really, really fun use of him.
Yeah. Well, at Midtown, Harry and Gwen are in the middle of a conversation when Liz and Peter stop at Peter's locker nearby, which is in their line of sight. Harry asks Gwen, "Say something, please." And it's very clear now that we know the whole context that he's just asked Gwen to go out with him or be his girlfriend. And she initially is like very clearly like not into this, or at least at the very least does not know what to say or has not made a decision. But then she sees Liz kiss Peter on the cheek and nods in agreement to Harry's proposition, pretty much just as a result of that, which is a bummer. You hate to see it.
Gwen. Not good,
Gwen. Harry, of course, celebrates because all he was paying attention to was whether or not she said yes or no to being his girlfriend. And then Peter, who wouldn't have witnessed this conversation and hadn't seen the whole thing, even from afar, sees them walk away arm in arm. So his understanding is now that they're a couple. So a lot of beautiful teen soap opera shit happening here. Beautiful misunderstanding. Beautiful bad decisions being made for understandable reasons. It's good stuff.
It's a weird scene though, in a good way, because I like that like most of the conversation happens off screen. We don't see Harry asking. It starts like in the middle of the conversation. Gwen doesn't say a single word the entire time. She doesn't say yes. She nods her head yes. And then Harry doesn't ask her like how she's feeling or anything. He just like basically grabs her and then they walk away. And then they pass Peter. And Peter looks at them and they look at him and they say nothing to each other. And they're like, I thought you two were like also see best friends. And I think it's very telling that like both Gwen and Harry are like uninterested in like Harry isn't sharing the news to Peter, like, because he's like, just, it's weird, right? Like it's weird.
Harry has like a weird set of blinders on, right? Like they don't necessarily apply to everything, but like they apply in certain ways where like he is so singularly focused on having a girlfriend and that girlfriend being Gwen that like it doesn't really matter how she's feeling about it, how it comes about, what the like other people's thoughts or reactions are to it. Like he's accomplished the goal, and so he's just kind of charging forward. I do appreciate that this is an episode where we already heard Gwen talk, because then it makes this like feel very, very intentional that she's not saying anything, which works really well for this whole scenario in this moment and moving forward.
Yeah, this isn't because Lacey Chabert wasn't in the booth. This is because they thought it was important that Gwen doesn't even speak.
Yeah.
In what should be like a big moment for her. And I think that makes it even more clear that it's like, oh, it's not because she's like sure and excited and enthusiastic. It's just like she's at such a low place and has such low self-confidence that it's just like, well, I guess I have to date Harry now.
And it tells you like right away that Harry, I mean, you could have already known that Harry's not going to be a good boyfriend to her. He literally jumped over her at Coney Island when Doc Ock was trying to kill people.
Oh boy. Yep.
But this makes it very, very clear, if you forgot that like Harry is not going to pay attention to Gwen or how she feels or consider her at all, because if he did even a little bit, he would have recognized that she was not into this.
Yeah. Ugh.
So, okay. Continuing with the fun teenage drama of it all, Flash then slams Peter into a locker and demands that Peter tell him how to make Shashawn like him. And Peter's like, why in the world would you ask me this question? And the on-screen reason that makes tons of sense is that Flash is like, I don't know why, but you have somehow gotten both Liz and Gwen to be obsessed with you. So clearly you know something, right? The other on-screen reason is that Flash is like, I don't want anyone else to know, right? Like, I'm asking you because I don't want anyone else to know. I think I can intimidate you into not telling anyone. I think the fun off-screen reason to think about that is not canonical or anything, I do like that this is a point now, because of this very arc, that we have the knowledge that Flash and Peter used to be best friends. And I do like, maybe under the surface of Flash Thompson, there being something that trusts Peter to at least care about him enough as a person in this like weird, vulnerable moment to not spread this shit around and maybe genuinely try to help him out. That's what I want to believe is part of it, because we've specifically gotten that background now. I mean, it all manifests in unhealthy ways based on their current relationship. But if Flash is like, doesn't know who to ask and is afraid to ask his buddies Rand and Kenny because they make fun of everybody who has a crush on anyone, I think that would make a lot of sense for him to be like, I'm desperate and I need to tell somebody, and this is actually one of the few people that, one, I could intimidate, two, knows me well enough, and three, might actually have some semblance of caring about what I'm going through.
Right. Yeah. No, I think so. I think that totally makes sense. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and Peter gives him good advice. I mean, Peter doesn't commit to making this work, but he gives him like a normal piece of advice that you would give to somebody who has never considered anyone else's feelings before. And is like, hey, maybe if you want to get to know Shashan, because that's a good first step, get to know some of the things she's into, and then gestures toward the auditions. So Flash decides to audition for the play, which clearly Shashan is into.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, the next monologue we get is from MJ. So this is an interesting one. So this is a pretty famous one that she says. Her monologue is, doubt thou that the stars are fire, doubt that the sun doth move, doubt truth to be a liar, but never doubt I love. It's from Hamlet, Act 2, Scene 2. So I think what's interesting about this, though, and like not in a way that I think provides context or anything, it's just kind of funny. So she's reading what is from a love letter that Hamlet has written to Ophelia. But what is really interesting is that, like, in the context of the play, Hamlet isn't delivering these lines to Ophelia. It is being read out loud by Ophelia's dad, Polonius, to Hamlet's mom and Claudius, while they're in conversation trying to like figure out if Hamlet is insane, like literally, like, has their kid mad? And then he just like brings out like, I think your kid likes my kid a lot. Here's a bunch of love notes that I found. And like, so it's not like Polonius would be reading that letter passionately. He's gonna be like, look at this shit that your kid wrote. What does this mean? And Polonius also is like kind of like often played as like a big goof, like the funny like dad then it's sad when he gets killed. So like the way that she's delivering these lines, she's I mean, like, I don't think it doesn't work because she's just giving an acting monologue. Like, she's sort of like, I'm reading a love poem. I'm going to read it like a love poem with a lot of heart, which makes sense. It's just funny because like technically she's doing the monologue wrong. Because like, that's not what that monologue is. But the letter that she's reading, it makes sense for it. I just found it kind of funny.
No, that is fun. And it's a fun thing to think about because it's like an opportunity to like reinterpret something in a way that like you could deliver it differently, but if you know the context, it's like you said, wrong. So why? I mean, why this one? Why here? You know,
I don't really know about that one because I think that like it is literally just like, don't doubt that I love you. Like, it's just a love poem. It's a really beautiful like love letter that's written, especially the full thing. I mean, I think for one, I guess they did just need Mary Jane to just deliver something very passionately.
There's a couple sort of things related peripherally to this because we did just see the Flash Peter conversation, and I don't know how this is specifically supposed to relate or put what kind of light on what Flash is going through, but I don't know that it has to necessarily tell the truth so much as just like reflect that in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if it's supposed to give us an indication that Flash might actually be more genuine about this than we initially would have thought, right? The other thing too is like after she delivers this, we see that Mark is watching her do this, and we haven't seen Mark observing any other ones. He's presumably there, but we don't get to see him. And then we see in just next episode that this sort of flirtation between MJ and Mark might sort of begin to happen. But we haven't seen that yet, so it's an interesting thing to assign to this quote in some way.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, maybe there's something about like the literal words of like of doubting. I don't know if that would work though. Like something about like, you know, people doubting other things, but maybe don't doubt. Like Colonel Jupiter is like, shouldn't actually doubt that Spider-Man actually does love him as a friend. I don't know.
Could you apply that thought process that you just had to Peter and Eddie in some way, shape, or form? I don't know that we get conversation about Eddie doubting anything that Peter or Spider-Man's saying.
I don't know.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know. The other thing is like, she mentions like the stars and the sun and they end up in a planetarium at the end of this. So that could also be part of it. I don't know.
True. I don't think this applies. No. Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not really totally sure what the strong connection is, but it could be more of an aesthetic one.
Yeah.
In addition to Mark being there, we also actually get a response from Mr. Devereaux, who I don't think we saw for any of the other ones either.
No.
He applauds MJ, but then also responds to Flash when Flash barges into the auditions. I think Hobie is about to audition, to speak, of course.
Yeah, because he does end up getting a part. We see later, like at the end, like when he finally speaks at the end of the season, is in the play.
Yeah, at a point in which no one could possibly interrupt him without ruining the play.
It's really funny.
But yeah, so he gets interrupted. Flash is like, all right, I want to audition. And Mr. Devereaux is basically like, bro, we're in the middle of something. You need to wait. So doesn't say no, but tells him to wait.
The only other note that I have about the scene that I think is kind of interesting, I like how MJ uses her hands in her audition and everything, but it made me notice that she's wearing gloves and a coat and a scarf. Why is she in her like full ass winter gear for her audition?
I don't know, because Kenny
I'm
also
sure
was wearing a scarf and I think maybe a coat.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I guess it's probably, I mean, you know, sometimes theaters are very, very cold when they don't have all the lights on, so that's totally possible. It's just it's like, but like from an animator perspective, it's just sort of an odd choice, because like, why would Mary Jane audition like she's outside? You know what I mean? Like she, as someone who already like does acting stuff, like why would she want to constrict her body like that? It's just sort of an odd choice.
No clue. I don't honestly understand why anyone's dressed the way that they are in this. Aside from
why
like
are, like,
Sally, because she never takes her cheerleading costume off.
Yeah, that's such a good point. That is such a good point. Yeah,
so,
it's very funny.
No idea.
Yeah, because Liz is in her cheerleading outfit, and I'm like, girl, you're auditioning.
Yeah, she's like still in her cheerleading outfit a lot at this point in the show.
Even though we've seen her in other clothes.
Which
so, like,
I wasn't
why?
expecting. I didn't realize she would still be in her cheer. Also, is the football season over? Didn't they win?
Wait a minute. Yeah, wait, hold on. Because they have the championship already?
They had this. Was it the state championship? I don't remember what championship it was, so I guess technically they could still be
maybe
playing.
They could still be happening.
But I just assumed it was over
now, because I thought like they won. I thought they won the championship and the season is over.
Yeah, they won some kind of championship.
When does football season for high schools normally end? Because we know that this is in January now.
Yeah, I do think that if you end up going on to like state or nationals, it ends up going like rolling into the next calendar year. I think.
Okay.
Because they're not going to play over like Christmas and New Year's either.
Right, but like, how deep into January is it going to get? Because
it's not going to go that deep.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But also, I don't know. It's a high school TV show, so like.
Yeah. Or maybe they're practicing. They're keeping in shape 24/7. They're always at cheerleading practice in their outfits. Yeah, I don't know.
That's what they go to practice in, is their cheerleading outfits.
Look,
I don't know. Maybe they're supposed to. I don't know anything about cheerleading.
Oh man. Well, at home, Colonel Jupiter is watching the news, being like, if Spider-Man wasn't responsible, then why did he run? And of course, right then, before he can even like think beyond that statement to maybe rationalize it at all, Venom in his sort of like Black Spider-Man form, crashes through the window, drop kicks John, collapses a fucking wall on top of him, completely obliterates his entire apartment, and then swings away.
Yeah.
So John is obviously really angry. One thing that I thought of this time that I don't think I'd ever thought of before, Jameson's whole thing is that he doesn't like superheroes wearing masks. John is sort of like, I don't understand why you can't just talk to the cops. Like, he doesn't understand the significance of a secret identity and wearing a mask and the importance of it. John, if people didn't know that Colonel Jupiter was John Jameson, Venom wouldn't fucking know where to go. Like, Venom wouldn't be able to crash into his house and fuck with him.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's sort of like, here's why a fucking secret identity is good. Because in the very next scene, they make a whole bit about how Captain Stacy's sort of like, yeah, your fucking son is Colonel Jupiter. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Like it ends up being a problem for him that everyone knows who it is.
Yeah, I mean, this show is not afraid to at least play with the idea that like secret identities are good, actually. Like, not that the show necessarily like takes a hard stance on it, but there are characters in the show that affirm that having a secret identity might be good outside of just Spider-Man. So, yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that either. That like direct line between like of the mask unmask thing and the problem it specifically causes for John Jameson.
Especially because the episode right after this that like concludes this whole arc is all about Spider-Man's secret identity.
Right.
So like, you know, if that thing is sort of in your head, it kind of makes sense for this arc.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I like that. That's a smart observation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so at the police precinct, Jonah demands an answer from Captain Stacy for why Spider-Man isn't behind bars yet, and then proposes to make Colonel Jupiter a deputy to help bring Spider-Man in, which of course Captain Stacy's like, no.
I love it's so clear that Stacy deals with this shit from Jameson all the time.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's a while before he doesn't even look up from his computer most of the time.
No.
Like, it's just deadpan responses the entire time.
No, he gets these calls like on the daily, I'm sure. Which is funny. Like it, because like I guess I don't know, because Captain Stacy is the captain. I was gonna say, wouldn't reporters be calling the police precinct? But no, if Jameson wants a quote from the captain, he's gonna go directly to the captain. And the moment he found that number, he was like, "Speed dial this."
Yeah,
you're never gonna hear the end of me, buddy.
Right.
But I love this. We alluded to it earlier. Captain Stacy is like, also, in addition to me not deputizing your son, can you please like stop and think for a moment? Because we have footage of the last time Spider-Man wore a black suit and this time where Spider-Man's allegedly wearing a black suit. One, they move differently, they fight differently, like they're not acting the same way. And two, their body shapes are completely different. Like we have video evidence of this. And I think it's really interesting and cool that a cartoon show specifically acknowledges this in universe, because you don't have to, right? Like a lot of cartoons wouldn't necessarily, and you can kind of rely on certain things not showing up in universe, right? Like they're not chameleon belting anything in this moment. Like what we see as the audience is what they are seeing in universe. And I just think that's cool because it's not always the case.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's also important for, you know, we already got this from Captain Stacy in the Chameleon episode in the first season, which again is like continually referenced. I think he references in this scene too, about like, you know, Bugle's fallen for impersonators before, like for Spider-Man. So, you know, so he brings it up again, but like in that episode, it was a whole deal where he like he was like the only one who was like, this Spider-Man moves differently from this Spider-Man. They're not the same person. He does it again here, which I think is important to reaffirm that, especially given that the next episode, like
he's paying very close attention.
He's very, and I think it really justifies why by the time of the next episode, he's figured out Peter Parker as Spider-Man.
Right.
Like it's made very clear by the next episode. I think it was important to like reintroduce that idea that like this man is observant and he is smart and he is a detective for a reason.
Yeah, that's a great point, because in universe he's noticing it, but most people are not, right? Other police officers are not noticing it. The everyday person on the street's not noticing it. And you can very easily chalk that up to what a lot of superhero shows do, especially like Batman shows or Batman comics, where it's like the average person on the street never sees Spider-Man. They just see blurry news stories or photographs or whatever. So like they might not notice the difference. But yeah, that is a good point. Captain Stacy specifically is the person who has been paying attention and has probably made it sort of a personal project to pay attention to Spider-Man.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But while this conversation's happening, Jonah receives a call from John in his whole Colonel Jupiter persona, just calling him super angrily, like, I'm gonna crush Spider-Man. And Jonah's like, well, I love that line of thinking personally, but it's possible that, the Spider-Man that we think has been doing the bad things isn't the Spider-Man. So maybe just hold off so you don't do anything wrong. And Jupiter's like, fuck that, I'm gonna destroy him. And he just fucking literally rips his headpiece out of the not headpiece. What is it called?
His
earpiece out of his ear and crushes it. And Jonah recognizes like the sporks must be affecting John's brain.
Even in this moment, calling them sporks.
Yeah. He just like earnestly thinks that's what they're called.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Also, I noticed in this scene, and it's only a couple of times, but like there's a couple of times where when Colonel Jupiter's doing his leaps, they kind of subtly put in a riff on the $6 Million Man sound effect.
Yes.
Like the I can't imitate it,
So
but
good.
you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You'll know what it is if you hear it.
Yeah.
It's very subtle, and it's not every time he leaps. It's only like a couple of times, but it's a really fun little detail.
It's amazing, and I do think it sort of gives that same impression of like him being sort of like an older fashioned superhero, which I think is a really smart choice.
Yeah, absolutely. I also have to give Darren Norris a lot of credit too, because like from this point forward, he's like all yelling all the time because that's where he's at. He's at 11, but he's still like, I think there could have been a worry that like, because it's Darren Norris doing both John and Jonah Jameson, that like, it's sort of like, well, the difference between the two is that Jonah yells everything. But John yelling still doesn't sound like J. Jonah Jameson.
No,
yelling.
it really doesn't. I mean, Darren Norris, star of this episode, like for sure. And not just because he's playing two characters, but yes, pointing out specifically that he is playing two characters that both have speaking voices and yelling voices and still manages to make them sound very distinct and very different and have conversations with himself between the two. Like it's very,
but still
very good.
Similar enough to believe that they're father and son, because they would kind of sound alike.
Yeah.
So they still do sound alike realistically, but are still so clearly distinct characters. It's so fucking good.
Yeah. Exceptional performance. Yeah. Very, very good.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I mean, honestly, it's like the Warren brothers talking to each other.
So
except
true.
not quite as extreme. Like this is way more extreme, actually. But there's I guess there are a couple folks who end up having to do this.
Like, look, they got a good fucking crew of voice actors.
Dude, seriously.
This this is why you don't just hire
Chris Pratt for everything.
Right. This is like just being famous or like being a live action actor doesn't necessarily mean you're a good voice actor. Like this is why voice acting is its sort of its own thing.
Right.
Of like literally being able to sound like completely different people talking to each other like realistically, and it doesn't throw you off at all. Like it totally works in the context. Like only actual voice actors can do that.
Right. It's different, you guys. It's different things. Some people can do both. Not everyone can.
Yeah, but no, Chris Pratt can just like do a slight kind of a New Yorkie kind of accent, and that's his Mario voice. Otherwise, it just sounds like Chris Pratt. But
Yeah.
He gets every voice acting role now.
I know those types of casts are so funny to me because like as we record this, they like reaffirmed the cast for the next Mario movie, and it was so funny looking at the cast because they just told us all the cast we already knew, and it's like stars, like on-screen star for all the like major characters, and then it's like Kevin Michael Richardson, who to us is a star, but playing a character that's like not that important. I'm like, that should be reversed. That should absolutely be reversed.
It's just like, all the people that are just like, they just sound like they sound in their normal speaking voices.
And like Kevin Michael Richardson, I don't remember what he sounded like, but maybe not recognizable because he can do that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Anywho, voice actors, you all fucking rule.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service, exactly. Very shortly after this, Colonel Jupiter is able to find Spider-Man, though, and finds him at an astronomy museum, tackles him through the front of the building, and this sets up our big set piece for their big battle.
Yes. The monologue after that is from Liz. Her monologue is, "Oh, it is excellent to have a giant strength, but it is tyrannous to use it like a giant.
With great power comes great responsibility. Shakespeare wrote it first."
Truly, I love that they included this because it's so true. It's from Measure for Measure, Act 2, Scene 2. The context
I
for this
know
one
literally nothing about that show.
I actually don't. I've never read or seen Measure for Measure. So,
but I would not list it if you told me to list as many Shakespeare plays as I could. It would not come up.
I kind of I truly don't even know what the basic premise for that one is. But it's said by Isabella to the antagonist while she's like pleading for her mother's life. I honestly don't think it matters. I think this is the case where like what it is literally saying is like reflected on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it basically is just with great power comes great responsibility. And also Colonel Jupiter's whole thing is that he's big and strong and has a lot of strength.
And has literally turned into a giant.
He's literally turned into a giant, and now he's being a little tyrannical with it. So yeah, it's good.
I just looked to see if like Measure for Measure had like a cool hip sort of like teen adaptation or some sort of like, something like that. And I not obviously immediately to me as I just sort of like briefly look.
Yeah. You know what? You mentioned that though, to your earlier question about like updates. Cause I know people love like 10 Things I Hate About You, and it is a great movie and everything,
right.
But I really love She's the Man.
That's a
12th Night adaptation.
She's the Man is so good.
It's such a clever adaptation of that play. Like it's so smart.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I think that actually edges out the Ethan Hawke Hamlet.
Oh my God.
Because there is a difference between like the ones where they are literally using the Shakespeare dialogue versus the one where they just sort of reinterpret it. Like, I guess so. Those are my two answers then.
Sure.
Where they're using the same Shakespeare script.
Yeah.
I like the Ethan Hawke Hamlet. But when it's sort of just a reinterpretation of the play, a la like Lion King,
right?
Like making the story into a different movie with the same beats. It's fucking She's the Man.
So good.
I want to rewatch it.
Dude,
I haven't seen that movie in such a long time.
I watched it like relatively recently, like past 6 months or whatever. It's such a nice. I mean, one, it's just an amazing movie, but it's so nice sometimes to be reminded that like Amanda Bynes like was an incredible comedic actor. Like she's so fucking funny. Everything I see her in, she's so fucking funny. Really, really good. Really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Please, everyone tell us your favorite like film adaptations of Shakespeare, either as direct sort of reimaginings or like reinterpretations.
Yeah. Love it. Anyway, so the fight's happening.
Sure
Colonel
is.
Jupiter accuses Spider-Man of changing costumes, and Spider-Man's like, "What, dude?" And of course, they're in the sort of astronomy museum. They're in a basically giant fucking planetarium where they're throwing planets. I guess no, it's a planetarium. Planetarium is only when it's on.
Yeah,
screen,
the
isn't
planetarium would like specifically be where they're like projecting stars and doing all that sort of stuff.
I guess astronomy. Yeah, I guess you wouldn't use Yeah,
but they're in the whole. They're like in the whole museum.
It's a mod. You're seeing models of planets essentially, like big old models. So they're literally throwing planets at each other essentially, which is pretty cool.
It's a fun thing to do that like really wouldn't. I mean, they can have whatever set piece they want at any point, but it really would be weird to have this set piece in like almost any other circumstance. But for for Colonel Jupiter, it's like
Jupiter.
It's so perfect and clever, and it just like actually makes sense.
Yeah. Also, men come from Jupiter to get more stupider, right? Isn't that the line? And he is getting more stupider because of the sporks.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
This episode is genius on many levels.
Exactly.
I'm surprised Spider-Man didn't make a joke like that.
I guess.
I guess that's not clever. That's because that's not clever. What I said is not a clever thing.
No.
That's a little not quippy enough for Spider-Man.
I don't think that's why. I think it's just because he's also like a male superhero. I think it's the type of thing that like Black Cat might say. You know what I mean? Like somebody like specifically who is sort of like your feminine or femme fatale type character who would comment on someone's hypermasculinity.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, Spider-Man
planets.
is also like, they're throwing planets. Spider-Man obviously can tell like he's the upside to the heart rate monitor is that John's heart's beating real fast. So it's like, all right, the spores are like really fucking with you right now.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing's working because Colonel Jupiter's way too powerful at this point. During the fight, Colonel Jupiter does get knocked into like with like a couple of electric cables that were holding up the planets. He begins to shrink just a tiny bit after being electrocuted, which Spider-Man realizes like, oh shit. So like the electricity that Connors was mentioning, he said that it had like limited success, but maybe that means it was limited electricity. We just need a whole lot more electricity right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of, it's scary to think about because this ends up like working, right? And Spider-Man specifically is fortunately a scientist and knows exactly where to go in this museum to pull this off. He goes to the Van de Graaff room, which is like specifically electricity science stuff or whatever. And so this room has like these big electric generators, and he electrocutes Colonel Jupiter with what he says is 2 million volts, which does work in turning Jameson back down to John Jameson size and not Colonel Jupiter sized. But like, it's such a scary thing, not even just because it's like, oh, you hit someone with 2 million volts, but like Kurt Connor specifically said they had success when they were testing on individual spores. So like what Spider-Man has done is like hit all the spores, but at the expense of also hitting all of John Jameson. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah,
it's like so brutal. And I know he's doing it out of like desperation, but like, fuck.
But it is like, and in order to get him to the point where he can get all electrocuted, like he just has to, he can't be shouting in. He has to be shouting insults at him and just like beating the shit out of each other. So like, it is one of the more violent ways that Spider-Man has defeated a villain on the show. And it's a guy that is like 100% a tragic villain.
Yeah.
Like John is like not responsible at all for his actions in this case, I would argue.
Yeah.
And yet the way that he has beaten is like so violent that his heart literally stops. He is dead for a second.
Yeah, Spider-Man
after
kills
getting
him.
electrocuted.
Yeah.
Spider-Man murders this man.
Yeah.
But his heart just starts again. You know, so like he survives obviously, but like not without having a serious toll taken. And I have to imagine that like by Spider-Man getting him madder and madder, like they don't really explain this. So it's, you know, it's all speculation, but like it's because John gets worse, gets like, you know, markedly worse every time he gets really angry. It's possible that like the spores or sporks, sorry, are able to like alter have more power altering his brain, like the madder that he gets or the more under pressure that he is, which means by Spider-Man, like shouting all these insults to get him mad and like throwing punches at him and shit to get him to this room to defeat him, he probably broke his brain worse so that he ended up being in a worse state after recovering from the sporks.
Yeah.
So like Spider-Man probably fucked him up even worse in order to save him, which is just really fucked up.
I think even though where Colonel Jupiter, like where John Jameson becomes Colonel Jupiter has nothing to do with Spider-Man, I think it is like not at all unfair to say where John Jameson ends at the end of this episode is primarily Spider-Man's fault.
Yeah. And like, I don't know what else Peter could have done. Like he was doing his best, but like, it was messy and chaotic and desperate and not clean.
No.
And I think you see that reflected in the solution.
Right. I think you see it reflected in the solution. And I just have to imagine, based on how some of these episodes have been ending, that like this is something Spider-Man would have to reckon with later, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think this is the last we would have seen John Jameson. I don't think the episode would end the way that it does if we shouldn't expect to see him again. And I think it's just not a mistake that this is like one of the more brutal ways that Spider-Man defeats somebody.
Yeah, it's really upsetting.
Yeah, it's rough.
It only gets more upsetting. Once you see it.
Yep.
The next monologue that we get, I really love this. So there's a couple of things about this. So the monologue is from Flash. We know the reason that Flash is here. His heart's not really in it. So it's a terribly delivered monologue. The monologue he gives is, "I will be brief. Your noble son is mad. Mad, I call it, for to define true madness, would it's to be nothing else but mad." Like, honestly, I don't know that all the context really matters other than madness. John Jameson was driven mad by the sporks, right? I think that totally makes sense. I think there's a lot of interesting things about this though. Because first of all, it's from Hamlet, Act 2, Scene 2. It's from the exact same scene that Mary Jane had her lines from. It's because this is also another set of lines from Polonius talking about Hamlet when he's talking about how Hamlet is mad. And then they go on to read some love letters that he sent Ophelia, right? So a few things about this. All of the other characters in this audition, they're like reciting monologues from memory. Flash is the only one that is reading it from a script, clearly cold reading it, has not read it until he's been up there in the spotlight. Which I love the moment when he like steps away from the spotlight because it's too bright and the spotlight follows him.
Also really just smart because he didn't have an audition. Like he didn't sign up for an audition.
Right. But like he has the script. My read is that because it's the exact same bit from Mary Jane, I feel like he was just like, oh shit, I'm supposed to prepare an audition. I didn't know that. No one told me that. And he just goes to the first person he sees, which is Mary Jane. Cause she was like very briefly, like not long before him. She was like 2 or 3 before him. And it's sort of like, hey, what do I do? You're the Shakespeare lady. You've done theater before.
Right, they talked
she just,
during
like, hands
Hobie's
him-
audition.
Yeah, right. And right, yeah, he's probably talking very loudly during Hobie's audition. And then she just like pulls out of her backpack, like she had that scene because her monologue was from that same scene and she was going over her lines.
Right.
So she just
Already
gives it and he just picks out another monologue just from the same scene from the script that she gave him. Cold read it for the first time, didn't even know what it was about. Like, I really think that that's what happened.
That is so funny and an incredible observation, Derek.
Thank you.
I did not and would not have thought about that at all. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it does also, I think, help when you think about what the lines are, because if these are both from the same scene and you try to apply it to the same situation in this episode or the same characters, like there's not really a way to make it like synergize. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So that makes a lot of sense too, as to why this would be sort of the odd quote out, even though on its surface it makes perfect sense for what just happened and what we're about to see.
Yeah, I mean, because the whole next scene, I mean, again, Flash's whole monologue is about a dude thinking another dude is crazy, and then we go to Ravencroft.
Specifically, your noble son. Like, it couldn't be a
Oh
more
my God.
perfect line.
I didn't even clock that, man. That's such a good point.
Right?
Your noble son is mad, and we literally see J. Jonah Jameson looking at his noble son who's gone mad.
Ugh.
This show is so good.
Right? Yeah. Very, very good. Yeah, I mean, because we end up basically at, I don't know that this is, I guess this is Ravencroft because we end up seeing Ashley Kafka. So I guess at Ravencroft, where Max Dillon, for whatever reason, they've trusted Ravencroft to keep Max Dillon again. Sorry, Electro.
So well the last time.
I already fucked it up. But the same facility where Electro's being kept, because he's also screaming about that still, as he should. And where Otto Octavius is also being kept, Kurt explains to Jonah that with the spores out of John's system, all he'll need is time to eventually resume living a normal life. We don't necessarily know that. We can only take Kurt's word for it. And then we see Kafka and a very hot orderly, who we also see, I believe, next week, restrain and sedate John as he calls out for the power. You referenced this earlier, that he's seeking power, or that he's obsessed with this power even after the fact. Before leaving, Miles Warren heard Electro screaming in his cell and asks Kurt if Electro is another one of yours.
Ugh, it's brutal.
Yeah.
This whole thing is so brutal. Like, John in the straitjacket, they show him like drooling as he's screaming too. Like, and with full of like stubble. Like, it's a little bit uncomfortable.
It is. And I remember us talking a little bit about this, because I do, you can kind of see where some of these storylines will go, and in good ways, but I'm always like a little concerned when the superhero stuff ends up getting into like everybody's just crazy. Because it doesn't have to be that, so sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't necessarily make sense.
I struggle with it with this one because I think that they're trying to just very quickly convey, in very brutal fashion, like how different John Jameson is from what he was before.
Right.
Like they're trying to make it so stark that he is like just such a completely different person now, and it's important that J. Jonah Jameson is seeing him this way, because that is only going to make him hate Spider-Man that much more. Like, I think it does need to be something that's going to like deeply irreparably like upset Jameson, So like I understand why like they need that iconography to be so in your face,
yeah.
But the image of like the dude with like messy stubble drooling, screaming in a straitjacket, it's just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It still feels weird. It's hard to not feel weird.
It feels much weirder than what we'll see next week with Eddie, it's similar situation, but it's not quite as over the top.
Yeah. I do appreciate how dark it's willing to go, though.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a very upsetting episode by the end of it.
I mean, it makes me really curious as to like what their plans were in general for just Ravencroft. You know what I mean? Like, because Electro is there, John Jameson is there, Eddie Brock will likely end up there. Like,
oh yeah,
there's a big collection of folks.
Cassidy is there.
Cletus Cassidy, we already know, is there. Yeah, I'd be really curious.
But yeah, back at Midtown, Mr. Devereaux posts the cast list for the school play. It's so funny going from like that fucked up scene to just like, yay, school play casting.
Yeah. It makes sense, but it is like,
yeah. But yeah, so they're reading off the cast list, and we find out Harry got a lead role, and it's another brutal scene because Harry's like, hell yeah. And Gwen's like, Harry, congrats. And before she can even get like 2 words out, he's like, yeah, anyway. And he like calls up his dad on the phone, completely ignores her, doesn't even make eye contact with her or acknowledge her at all, completely cuts her off to call Norman with the news, telling him that like, I made the school play and I've got a girlfriend. And you see Gwen just sitting there uncomfortably,
so fucked up.
You know, being talked about like she's not even there, not even being acknowledged. And then you hear Harry be like, did you say you're proud of me? Which I think is really interesting that we don't hear Norman say that on the other end of the line.
Yeah. I don't remember if we talked about that,
don't.
but this time it like really was like a glaring omission.
It's really interesting that we don't hear him, which I think is like for the audience, it's just sort of like, it feels like, of course we wouldn't even get the satisfaction of like Norman saying it to Harry, but also is sort of like, did he actually say that?
Right. Because the way that Harry's reaction is written isn't "you're proud of me." It's did you just say you were proud of me? Which very easily could be like, yeah, Norman said something entirely different, and Harry was like, oh, he's doing it. He's saying it. Like this could just be Harry's interpretation of whatever the fuck Norman just said. Norman could have just been like,
that's good to hear, son.
Yeah, it could have been that. It could have been like just not being mean to him for a second, you know what I mean? Like, could have been anything.
It's like, could have been worse.
Right.
Like, oh, finally,
you didn't fuck this up.
Yeah, and he just interpreted it badly.
Oh, you're saying you're proud of me?
Yeah. Or like Harry just totally misheard him. Like Harry was just like, that's very loud of you, son. You're speaking very loudly. It's like, you just say you're proud of me? Like,
I love that. I want that to be so true.
A running thing where every time Norman says something, Harry's sort of like, did you say you're proud of me? Like, no, I asked you to turn the TV down.
Oh my
like,
God.
No, I didn't.
That would end up getting like so depressing. I mean, this really is a brutal scene. I mean, watching Gwen's reaction, it's so brutal specifically for him to add, and I got a girlfriend or whatever. Like it's so demeaning,
rude,
and it's
he doesn't
so
even
rude.
say, and he doesn't even say Gwen's name to him.
Who Norman would know or at least recognize the name of.
Right. It's just like, you know, him talking about Gwen like she's not there, not even saying her name to Norman. He's obviously doing this to make a big show in front of people so they overhear him delivering the news to his dad. It's not just that he's calling his dad because he's desperate for his dad's, desperate for his dad to be proud of him.
Right.
And desperate for his dad's validation, but also like he's doing it loudly in front of people. Like, did you just say you're proud of me, Dad? As he's looking around to all of his classmates, like, hey, everyone, my dad said he's proud of me. Like, he doesn't literally do that, but he basically is like doing that, right?
Right.
Because so much stuff that Harry does is performative, as we've seen. And like the fact that like I think the twist of the knife is that like the last episode I specifically talked about how it's sort of like, it only is good that we see between Harry and Gwen, that he is like seeing her and complimenting her. And like for the first time, someone is giving her attention and telling her that like they notice her and appreciate her and what she does and how good of a friend she is. The second that they have gotten together officially as a couple, he goes right back to ignoring her. God. The first thing that happens after they get together is that she gets fucking ignored by him. He doesn't even make eye contact with her. They walk away. God. Like he puts his arm around her. He doesn't even fucking look at her.
Yeah. It's so uncomfortable and so bad and so gross. Harry is like the worst boyfriend.
He's so bad. They've just gotten together. And he already is just like treating her like she's literally just his property. It's so bad. It sucks so much.
Do you think is this a world where Harry Osborn ends up in a good relationship at some point in this show? I mean, does it end up being Liz at some point? You know, like what?
Maybe. Oh my God. I would love that. I kind of I don't know when. I think it would take a while for that to happen.
They don't really interact with each other that much.
They don't, but I do love the idea that they commiserate over how much they hate Peter and Gwen.
Oh, no. I mean, at the very, very least, and I guess depending on when they did this or how it played out, it could be the type of thing where it would feel like it's being sort of like drawn out too long. But like just the fact that Harry and Liz are dating and that's Peter's ex, and that Peter and Gwen presumably would date and that's Harry's ex. Like, I mean, there is just so much they can do with just that dynamic alone, regardless how everybody feels.
Right. it's the thing. The Harry is a character that, like, honestly, out of all the characters in the show, I can least predict what would have happened with Harry, because like the normal directions you'd go with Harry, of him like following his dad and becoming another Green Goblin. I don't know if this show would do it because they already did the Green Goblin rug pull with him in the first season. So it would feel like such a weird retreat to be like, now he's actually the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
But like there could be a way that they could do that in a way that worked, but I don't know if they could feasibly pull that off, or if that's what they wanted to do. So like if he's not actually going on a full supervillain turn, then he's just like an evil kid in the high school, which is like a really interesting route to go with him. And I don't really know. And they could always, and they could easily redeem him too if they wanted to. Right. But like by the end of the second season, he is just like a fucking just like monster.
Well, that's why
monster,
I do think if it gets to a point where like he and Liz Allen are a couple, I do think it happens very, very late. And I think it happens under the circumstances that Harry is now just kind of gone through all of his stuff and is like kind of a good a better person. I don't know about a good person.
I don't know. This show can be a little like, this show can be quite dark, and I wouldn't be surprised if Harry was just never going to be redeemed at any point.
But you're right, it's like hard to predict, because even though this Harry, I think, sort of looks like a somewhat traditional Harry Osborn, is not really, like there are other ones that I think on the surface look like non-traditional Harry Osborns that are like way more traditional than this one is. So yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yep. Another case of bad relationship and people being bad to each other. So Peter witnesses this. He knows that Liz was auditioning, his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. He sees Liz go up to the cast list. He sees all that happen. Instead of, going up to his girlfriend and being like, hey, Liz, my girlfriend, did you get a part? Or congratulations on your part, or anything. He sees that happening, acts like he doesn't know anyone there, and just walks away, just thinking in his head that how he needs to find Venom to keep Gwen safe.
Mm-hmm.
And on one hand, Venom attacked Gwen at the end of the first season. So like it makes sense that he'd go there. And logically, Eddie wouldn't necessarily know that Peter is even dating Liz. So like, why would Venom go after Liz at all? So like logically it makes sense. But the moment that he's doing this is like a moment that he's specifically just walking away from his girlfriend, who then notices that he's just walking away from her. And she has to like chase him down and like basically tackle him and be like, Peter, I got a part.
Yeah.
And then for him to be like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But it's like, it's the thing that's like so glaring when you see the whole picture. And like, there's no reason I couldn't or shouldn't have seen this the first time around, but like, it really is entirely Liz's story that she is the one chasing Peter all the time. Even when they are already in a relationship, she's chasing Peter.
She's working so hard to like stay in his sightlines at all. And like trying to like, sort of, kind of push him into being a good boyfriend. It's sort of like, I'm not going to nag or yell at you for what, truly, like, I really think that that's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if she even recognizes that's happening.
I don't think so.
I think it's sort of like, I know how a good relationship should be. He's not really doing it, but I can just sort of make it happen. I can make it a good relationship. Oh, it's weird that Peter's like not coming up to me right now, congratulate me on a thing that I'm excited about, but I'll make sure to remind him what's going on so then he can congratulate me,
Yeah, what's really sad too is like her previous benchmark is Flash Thompson. So like it makes sense that like she's not seeing these things that Peter's doing as like really shitty when Flash Thompson we saw how Flash Thompson treats Liz sometimes when he's frustrated. He can take it out on her. So like the fact that Peter isn't just like overtly doing terrible things to Liz, I could see where she's not immediately identifying the more neglectful things, the passive things, as being bad,
Yeah. Yep. And then we also get to the cast lists. We learned that Shashan made it. We learned a lot of stuff, actually. Do you want to go through the cast list right now? Did we do this last time we covered it? I don't remember.
Yeah, I pulled this
Like we probably did.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So maybe we don't need to do it again. Is there anything interesting that you wanted to pull from it, though?
I actually think some of the interesting stuff is not the actual cast members, because I now know who Jamie Thomason is, who is like the casting director for this show. Or maybe the voice director? No, the casting director. But like there's some staff people on here that I wouldn't have necessarily recognized before. But everybody else, for the most part, I think we end up following back up on, right? Like Glory Grant we see in her role. Harry we obviously see in his role. So I don't think so. There are some names I can't make out. One of these looks
some
like
are just like
Jason
really hard
something
to
Arello.
Jason Ianello, isn't that it?
That sounds familiar,
really familiar. Jason Ianello is I don't know if this is possible because he's an actor in the Tom Holland movie, or he's a student in the Tom Holland movies. Does that mean I wonder if he came from?
How old is he?
He's based on someone. Hold on. They have to have based. No, he's a character in the Tom Holland movies. So he's got to be based on someone.
Oh,
in the comics.
well, that's the thing. Every one of these names has to either be a production person or somebody from the comics, because that's like Greg Weisman's thing, right?
Yeah, he's from the 90s comics, and he was part of the popular crowd with Flash and Sally Averill. Okay, so he was in the comics. It was just weird because the second I Googled the name, it was just the Tom Holland character, and I'm like, is this gonna be another one of those weird coincidence things?
Yeah, like the
Miles
no,
he's
thing,
literally
yeah.
He's literally a comics character.
Yeah. I'm guessing that some of these are actually names, but like at the point
it's
at
so
which
hard
they're
to make out.
Yeah, and at the point at which they're actually like animating this or like, having to go over these words, it's just sort of like whatever.
Yeah. I think one thing that's clever is that they don't have anyone cast as Nick Bottom, which I think the idea is that probably like Devereaux just like it's sort of like I hadn't figured out who to play that yet, so we'll cast him later, which leaves it open for Flash to be cast as Nick Bottom in the next episode.
Good call.
Which I think is cool. Yeah, I'm really excited for the opening night episode when we see the play.
Oh my God, I know.
Too.
I forgot that it's like
so
distant from this actual episode. But yeah, I'm excited for that too.
Yeah. But Shashan's up there at the cast list. Flash is sort of like, I guess we're going to be spending a lot of time together. And she's sort of like, I don't think so, because you didn't make the cast. And then Sally also didn't make the cast. Of course, Sally and Flash are like the only two who don't make the cast. In high school plays, where like usually like fucking everybody gets some kind of role in a high school play.
Right.
Of course, like Devereaux's sort of like, I'm not dealing with these two motherfuckers.
No.
And I love Sally, like, obviously the director is incapable of recognizing our natural charisma.
Incredible. Perfect use of Sally Averill.
So smart. She's so
Spot
funny.
on.
She's so good.
Yeah.
I love her so much.
I do love that it's the both of them too, right? Like you didn't have to have Sally Averill auditioning for any of this at all, but I do like that it's both of them because it means that there's more than one of them. It also is like Flash Thompson, the quarterback, and Sally Averill, who is like the archetypical cheerleader, have probably never not gotten the thing that they have specifically tried to get.
Exactly.
And they don't really have to like, and nor do they really like reckon with that in the show, but I just think it's a smart duo to have experienced this. Sally.
Yep. I love Sally so much.
I know. She's so good. I will forever deeply want to know what they would have done with Sally Averill moving forward in this show. Because we got that tiny little hint of her humanity.
We got him. It's a couple episodes from now.
Yeah.
I think that we get that.
It's so good.
Yeah, I can't fucking wait. But I think she would have never not been just like comic relief.
No, she always would have been silly, but I don't think she would have been as mean, maybe.
I think so. I think she would have softened up a little bit by the end.
Okay, where this episode actually ends, because we kind of have like a few endings here.
This ending fucking rocks.
Yeah, it ends at the Daily Bugle where Jonah is shoutily blaming Spider-Man for destroying his son.
Fair.
Which, I mean, we literally just said the same thing, right? Like, this is largely Spider-Man's fault.
Yeah, kind of.
But unexpected. I don't think this is what I would have expected the first time I watched it. I'm sure I was shocked. Venom crashes through Jameson's window and announces to him and everybody else around in the Daily Bugle newsroom or whatever that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. He basically says, great, if you want Spider-Man, he's right there. It's that kid.
So good. It's so clever because it's the thing that it's sort of like any villain who knows Spider-Man's identity. It's sort of like, why don't you just fucking do that?
Yeah.
Like,
you just tell everyone.
Just tell everybody. What are you doing? Like, and Venom's just sort of like, yeah, I'm just going to tell everybody.
Right.
I'm going to tell the fucking editor-in-chief who hates him.
Right.
Like,
the smartest one
in a room full of people.
all time. Go directly to the guy who's going to spread it through all of New York City.
Truly, like, genuinely one of the smartest villain moves ever, I think, of all time.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Great. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. What a way to end an episode. God, it's so good.
Incredible way to end an episode. Can you imagine having to wait a week to see the next one? Oh,
yes, I can.
Can't imagine what that's like. Damn. I mean, do you remember? I mean, it's hard at this point because you've seen it so many times. But do you remember watching this for the first time?
This I think I mentioned it when he started the
the
second season. This was the thing that I had spoiled from that drove me to, because it was like in what I thought was a trailer, but was actually a fan trailer that put this scene in it.
That's right, because you saw that Venom was back,
up.
but then also that this happens.
Right. And so I was like, fuck. So that's what got me to like, watch illegal rips of the international airings of it before it aired here.
That's right.
So I knew that it was coming, but I just didn't know when. So it was so surprised. I remember being surprised that I was like, oh, it's this episode that this is happening in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cause it is out of nowhere in this episode.
Yeah.
But I wish that I could have been properly surprised by it happening at all.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple faces here. I mean, there's plenty in this season in general. Like there have been a lot of like cartoony faces, especially with the teenagers, but there are a couple from the villains that I like. One, there's a weird moment. It's a cool moment. It's not weird. It's very intentional and very effective. But there's a moment in John Jameson's apartment when Venom attacks.
My apartment?
Yeah, in his apartment. Right when Venom is leaving, Venom is still in like black Spider-Man suit. And so most of the time he does not have a mouth in that scenario because he's pretending to be Spider-Man. But when he leaves Jameson's apartment, knowing that he successfully pissed Jameson off, he stops in the window frame and like smiles. And it's so funny and kind of creepy and cool to see, because this is not a design that really carries into anything else. It is very specifically Venom pretending to be Black Suit Spider-Man and then breaking character by like smiling.
Yeah.
It's very
But
cool.
I think it's important that it's not an open mouth or toothy smile. It is just a little smirk.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes it different too, because like when he's fully Venom, his mouth is open all the fucking time.
Right. Because in this moment, he doesn't, I mean, his eyes aren't his Venom eyes. His body isn't his Venom body. Like he's in this weird in-between zone that we just don't ever see again. And what's interesting is like, I don't know, it kind of gives you an idea of what Venom might have looked like in this series if the characters weren't as exaggerated as they are, right? Like he's already bigger than Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He's, this is a bit simpler. Doesn't have quite as many of the like muscle indicating lines and stuff. But
yeah, and it's much more of like the original appearance of Venom, like in the 80s when like he did just kind of look like a Spider-Man with a mouth, you know, like, yeah, like where it is. Yeah. Like you said, not as exaggerated.
It's creepy.
Yeah, it's a cool design.
It looks like a Venom, like a short-term Venom, where the symbiote's being hosted by somebody that's like not Eddie Brock and who's like not meant to keep it,
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
I just
cool.
like it. I like it.
I like it too.
And then the other one I grabbed is just like an odd, like lighting situation. I always think it's fascinating when they do like dramatic lighting, especially on this show, because there aren't that many planes to work with on people's faces. It's like a very flat looking show on purpose. And so usually there's like one layer of shading. And for whatever reason, and I guess it's to make him look particularly angry, there's a moment where John Jameson just looks so like so diabolical with like several layers of shading. They don't add lines to his face. Instead, they just add many, many different shadows. It's very dramatic lighting, and it makes him look very scary.
Yeah, I agree.
It is effective.
Yeah, it's a good face. The one that I pulled is right after Harry like basically has just completely ignored Gwen and made her feel like shit.
Yeah.
And then just puts his arm around her and starts walking her, and like her surprised face that she has for a sec.
Yeah.
Before it changes to sad, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. This face, there are moments in this show, particularly with facial expressions, that kind of remind you of this show and its place and what its contemporaries are. Because this show does resemble other shows in some ways. I mean, it is very unique in the way it looks. But occasionally, with like facial expressions I've noticed specifically, I can be reminded of like, oh, I do know when this was made, and I do know what its contemporaries were.
Yeah.
And this is definitely one of those faces.
Yeah. Also, this is unrelated, but I like that there's a poster in the background that just says dance.
Dance.
Just dance. Yeah. Like, I'm sure it's meant to be like a poster for a school dance, but it just looks like it's just telling students to dance.
I like it. I like it a lot. Also, I do think Kenny was wearing his coat as well. I think both MJ and Kenny were wearing their coats in their audition.
Just really cool and really, really cold in that auditorium, I guess.
Yeah. I guess we've all been there, I suppose.
Yeah, sure.
Who's this kid between Harry and Kenny?
One of those kids that's on that cast list, probably,
I guess
that we
so.
don't that we don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's Jason Iannello. I don't know.
Perfect.
Yeah. No, great episode.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this whole fucking arc is just really good. But I mean, Greg Weisman putting Shakespeare references in anything that he does is just him jerking off, basically.
Totally.
But like, I'm here for it every time because it's coming from such a place of love and passion.
Yeah.
And I think it's really well utilized in this, like so smartly integrated into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You talked long enough that I didn't say something wildly inappropriate in the jerking off comment.
Please go. No, I need us to
Too
double
late now.
back to
Sorry,
that.
everyone's got to imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine what I was going to say.
We got Venom here, so somebody's getting jerked off,
Yeah,
probably
exactly.
from or towards him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you'd like to jerk us off monetarily, you can become a patron at patreon.com. Donate us some money.
My favorite segue anyone's ever done.
What is it? Is it Findom, where people get off by like paying a lot of money?
I guess so.
To a dom in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can be that. Give us a lot of money if it gets you off. I need to get off of this train right now. Patreon.com/wallopingwebsnappers. We got a lot of bonus episodes. Check out our Discord. There's a link to that in the show notes. Doug, if people want to find you or anything you're doing, where's the best place to do that?
You can find me all over the place at Ikkybooley, ICKYBOOLEY. You can also listen to me on a podcast called Novel Gaming, where my friend Katie and I catch up on all the books, video games, and sometimes other media we've been enjoying lately. Also, go check out Play Comics. Derek and I recently guested on the podcast Play Comics, where we talked about the Ultimate Spider-Man video game, as well as a little bit about the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. It's a very cool show, and we had a good time.
You can find me most places at Derek B. Gale. My other podcasts include the Carvalho's Potting Challenge, where Tommy and I look at Simpsons tie-in video games, as well as pop culture history and Simpsons history and video game history. I think by this point, will our episode have come out yet? I'm looking at when the date. No, but we do have an episode coming out on Simpsons Road Rage at the end of this month. So look out for that. It'll be a really, really fun one. And then Gimmicks is my other podcast that I do with my friend David, where we look at high concept and experimental structure breaking gimmicky episodes of television. We do have a new season out. We had an episode on Happy Days. That was really, really fun. And we did a follow-up episode that's going to be coming out, a bonus episode coming out tomorrow that's about shows, quote, growing the beard, which is the opposite of jumping the shark, which is the Happy Days episode, where it's when shows that maybe start off bad or rocky, like get really good. And we just talk about our favorites from that. So that bonus episode comes out tomorrow.
Amazing.
If you listen to this day, it comes out.
Amazing. If you would like to find other queer creators who talk about media, check out the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective at glitterjaw.com. That includes another show Derek and I do together on a monthly basis called Screonk, a Godzilla movie marathon, where we are stomping through Godzilla's filmography. Our episode on Space Amoeba is out now.
And we also have our other Falling with Style feed, which is that podcast that Doug and I did together about all the Pixar movies. We've covered Elio recently. We've done episodes about Pixar racing queerness. We've done bonus episodes on How to Train a Dragon and Kung Fu Panda. So lots of stuff happening on that Falling with Style feed.
Absolutely. Visit us on our website at wallopingwebsnappers.com for a full archive of all the things Derek and I do together, and follow Walloping Web Snappers on Blue Sky and Instagram at wallopingwebpod. You can also email us at wallopingwebsnapperspodcast@gmail.com.
And please rate, review, and subscribe on all your podcast platforms. And next week, Peter deals with the fallout of his exposed identity in Identity Crisis.
Oh my God. See you then.
See ya.
Arriving in the speed of time.
I will be brief. Your noble son is mad. Mad call I it. For to define true madness, what is to be nothing else but mad? This is supposed to be English?
Hey, you made it. Cool. Suppose this means we'll be seeing a lot of each other.
That seems unlikely, since you aren't on the list.
What?
Obviously, the director's incapable of recognizing our natural charisma.